Hello everyone and welcome to First Blood. It's got a bit more of a familiar theme to it, this one, hasn't it? Because we've got a guest, we've got Ram, Lord of the Memes. The only thing missing is Nintendo, and we don't know where he is. We've tried getting through it with him. We think he's just given up on the show. We miss him.
Nintendo just kill. He's dead.
Yeah. I was going to make that joke, and then I thought with the health problems, can I get away with those kind of gags anymore? I'm not too sure.
April Fools! He's not actually dead.
Not actually dead.
The best. But look, so let's talk about. I'll introduce the guest last. So we'll do Ram. You know Ram. He asked before we came on the show it would be called the Master of Memes. I don't really know what that means, Ram. But do you have any memes for us today? What have you seen on Reddit? I can't look at Reddit at the moment, so.
Oh, I wonder why. Neither can I, because I get fucking I get like a fucking seizure every time I look at all those fucking Ramus things. And there was no pun intended. We were just talking about Nintendo. So.
No, I gotta say, what a great idea for an April Fool's joke. You know, let's make the subreddit virtually unreadable. Brilliant. I laughed. You know,
I actually think it's satire because it's meant to reflect on how originally the subreddit is full of shit anyway. So it's like the mods we're getting there. How can we turn this disgusting subreddit into even more shit? I know. Let's fucking put OK on every comment. It's not like any comment was actually doing anything.
Yeah, so there's that, and of course, my guest.
Good one, Ram.
Yeah, great meme, by the way.
Really well done.
That wasn't a meme. I'm not even joking. It's just like the shit that I see on Reddit lately is fucking awful.
Oh my god, I love Reddit.
Well, we're gonna. Yeah, you would say that, wouldn't you? We're gonna come a little brief talk about Reddit in a second because it will kind of overshadow the show if we don't mention it. But look, I'll introduce my guest. Now, we did try to have him on the show before. Unfortunately, he ran into some personal problems, and I was very, saddened to hear that he wasn't able to come on. We have wanted him for a while. He's somebody that we have a lot of respect for in our little clique of LOL outsiders and renegades. And it is, of course, Bo Shim, aka SoulDraa. So, look, I really want to start talking to you as soon as possible, but I just want to get this out of the way. So obviously there's been a lot of drama about Reddit, and I know there's going to be people tuning in to think I'm going to address this shit. Okay. But ultimately, I think it's very important that we establish just a few things because, look, there's been a lot of lies that have been spread. There's been a lot of people talking shit. I know if you watch this show, be it live, be it through VOD, you're reachable. You're not an idiot. You're somebody that I can communicate with. So I'm saying this to all of you. First of all, one of the biggest lies that has been established is that somehow these stories were in retaliation to my banning. Now, I got to say that certainly while that gave me the drive to expedite the story, the most important thing was to get this information out in my mind. And that we'd started this process 3 weeks, I think, before I was banned. So we'd already began collating information before then. It certainly wasn't retaliatory in any fashion. I've always had question marks about, Riot's involvement with the subreddit, whether it's an influence-free zone or not. And I just wanted to get to the bottom of it, present all the facts to the public. So that's the first thing. I also want to say the second thing is, there's been it's been a rough week. I won't lie to you guys. Like, I'll stand by anything I put in print, but I think a large part of the debate has been really obfuscated by is Richard Lewis an asshole or not? Well, the answer is I probably am, but that also enables me to do my job to a certain degree required. I'm never going to pander to anyone.
Wait, can you just hold on for a second? Can you just hold on for a second? Could you just repeat that last thing, calling yourself an asshole?
I am an asshole. You have to be an asshole. And I want to qualify this. So when when people in the StarCraft community were not honoring their promises, who was the guy that wrote about two of the most popular, e-celebrities in that scene being involved in a documentary that was, taking forever to materialize while they were going to Vegas and having good times with the money? It was me. Who was it that wrote about evil geniuses getting involved with companies that were promising long esports investments like Papa John's and eBay, which still have never materialized if you supported their thing? It was me. Who's the guy that writes about every organization that doesn't pay people? It's me. And yes, okay, I write about all the shit that Riot does. I'm the only guy who does. So it's me, right? So it falls on me to be an asshole. Now, the key thing about presenting this story wasn't to throw Riot under the bus or to throw the mods under the bus. It was simply to present the facts. If you were one of the people, and there was numerous people who cared, and thought this is dubious, great, now you know. If you don't care, at least you can't say you don't know. That's the whole point of what I do. That's it, from the fucking ground up. Now, some of you will have heard about what happened to me this week. Maybe some of you haven't. I had to fucking leave my own house. The threats were insane. After I published the NDA story, certain elements that I won't mention basically went to more radicalized elements in Reddit and told them that I was trying to dox people. So therefore, what you do to stop somebody doxing someone is you counter dox, right? That makes perfect sense. So I had a lot of threats that were very close to home. I think someone had acquired my IP address, which has subsequently been changed, and were basically so I just went to a family friend's cottage for the weekend. I had to take my girlfriend out. I mean, the threats were insane. That was what prompted me to delete my Reddit account, just the sheer volume. And of course, you know, now they're on Twitter. That's fine. It's out in public. I can control the dialogue. I can block people. And certainly I can control what people say about me and respond to it, which, of course, I'm not allowed to do anymore on Reddit because apparently you prove somebody a liar by cutting out their tongue. And the final point I just want to make on all of this is that if you're the kind of person that's been engaged in this abuse or whatever, that's fine. You're well within your rights to do it, I guess, if you're not crossing a legal threshold. But I do find it curious that a sub-forum of one of the internet's most powerful forums, without a shadow of a doubt, is so against witch hunting, yet my name has been dragged through the mud consistently for a week. No one's been sanctioned for doing it, and I've just had to put up with it. I think it's fucking bullshit.
If you allow me to ask, what exactly did you get banned for? Like, what was the official reasoning?
There was no communication. I got banned from the subreddit for harassment, apparently.
Harassment? Okay.
Yeah. So, So anyway, so the final point is I want to remind you all of a Latin phrase, which is illegitimi non carborundum. It means don't let the bastards grind you down. And I'm not going to. I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing, and you can get fucked. The people that have engaged in all of this hate, fuck you, seriously. I've been around before you. I'll be around after you. And if you're a fucking moderator on an internet forum and this is like the high point of your life right now, the only thing I've got for you isn't anger. It's just absolute pity. So there we go. It's out the way. I am going to record a Q&A because someone asked a bunch of questions in an AMA on an alternative Reddit. I can't reply to them. I will answer them in a video, but I don't want it to overshadow the show. So, boom.
Can you wait? We're out. No, we're not. I just want to give my opinion on this. Listen, like, I was sitting a lot on the sidelines and I never really gave an actual comment on what was going on. I thought it'd be smart to sit on the sidelines, but I really just have to feel like a comment to this. Like, listen, we've known each other for quite a long time. I reached out to you when the Riot visa issues were happening and asked if you had any information regarding that, and that's kind of how we got to know each other. Yep. And from my time knowing you, I've just come to realize a couple things. You're a dick. Yep. You're aggressive. You're an asshole. You make bad decisions. You yell at people for no reason. You're cocky. You're arrogant. You like yourself too much. Did I mention that you're a dick?
Yeah.
And you're an asshole. Besides all this,
I'm a pretty nice guy.
If it wasn't for some of the things that you do, a lot of what we don't know about what's going on in esports wouldn't have been to the light. And the bad thing is it's not even about the community knowing. It's actually other people in esports who won't know about it. A few people knew about what was going in the MYM situation. Imagine if that had never been broadcasted. If no one actually came out with that stuff. Imagine what would have happened to some of the players on that team. Like it's really hard to imagine a situation like that where we don't really know what's going on. And I can speak for Richard and Hubo, who actually know more about other different things. There's a lot of stuff that gets swept under the rug. And what Richard reports on is just a fraction of a lot of the injustice that's happening out in esports. And it's just so stupid because if he doesn't do it, no one else fucking does it. So yeah.
I'll say one thing to this actually, because there's an important part of the little rant at the start that I missed out. And that is, I have to own up to making some mistakes as well. And, I've thought about this a lot. Right. So in the last 18 months, like a lot has happened to me that's, you know, different. It's been a big transition of going from being a guy on Twitter with like maybe 3,000 followers, writing for a niche media company with an interest in esports, to being a 23,000 verified Twitter person working for the Daily Dot, one of the websites in the top 250 websites in America, and having all of this extra exposure and extra responsibility. Like, I always thought I would always be a community person. And by that, I mean, I get treated the same as everybody else, that I'm not afforded any double standard or any special rules. I simply am, you know, and I get to argue with people on Reddit the same way they argue with me. Someone calls me a retard, I get to call them a retard back. But what I've quickly realized is there is no way in the current climate and the way that this modern generation on the internet has gone is that that's ever going to be allowed. Unfortunately, social media has grown too powerful. It's given too many people an illusion of importance. And as a result of that, I can't do those things. And I don't necessarily think some of that was wrong. I think, yeah, probably did go too far a bunch of times. Totally accept that. I would urge anybody to think about what it would be like to do whatever you do for a living and have literally hundreds of people coming into your workplace and basically criticizing you and chastising you. So I think the last week in the build-up to the ban and subsequently ranting on Twitter about it, yeah, I think it's quite clear to say that I snapped and I was incredibly angry. And I should know better. You know, I should be a better representative for my publication. And here's the illogical stance to it. And that is that I'm always pointing out what fucking weeaboo fucking losers moderators are, right? And very often that caricature is accurate. But here I am, a man in my 30s, and if I'm acting the same as them, then I haven't got a leg to stand on about being critical of them. If I abuse my position as a journalist, and I can't criticize them for abusing their position as a moderator. So,
I'm almost certain that Korean Terran is just going to come out of nowhere and fucking stab you in the face at this point.
Fuck those weeaboos. Who the fuck do they think you are, motherfucker?
Yeah, they're just fucking...
Hubo, you look like you come out of a fucking anime. Like, seriously.
Really good, really good joke, dude. Like,
yeah. Okay. So anyway, while you meme your way out of this, hang on, I've just turned my camera off. There we go.
What the?
Just restarting it because my quality.
Did Korean Terran DDoS us? Holy fucking shit!
God damn it!
It's happening. It's happening.
Reddit. What are you doing?
So I don't give a fuck. Yeah, DDoS for justice. That's how we operate. But anyway, so look, I know I've made mistakes, but ultimately I'm gonna continue being a representative of myself. I'm gonna try and be a better representative of myself and better represent my opinions and what I'm about as a person, rather than getting embroiled in petty arguments. That's why I deleted my Reddit as well. You know, I need to just stay separate from it, I think, and try and evolve and be better than that. So I am going to try, but I'm never going to apologize for being myself. I think that's a sorely lacking commodity in esports.
Yeah, and I think like a good link, because I know that you want to talk about, like I think you said before that we would go from the Reddit thing to kind of like the gravity stuff, but I think a good transition would be is like just me personally, I started off as like your average Reddit memer, right? And like I'll tell you the fans right now.
Respect that. I can respect that.
I'll tell the fans right now, I fucking hated Richard Lewis. Like I saw this guy like write articles when I came in the scene, like sometime 2013, and I saw this dude like talking shit, and I was like, fuck that motherfucker, rise against the power, who the hell does he think he is? Like, you can't insult TSM like that, fuck you, bitch. Like, that's exactly what I was thinking. So, but then, you know, as you gradually get into the scene and you meet people who, you know, it's like you meet people who have been influenced by you, and it's almost like I'm talking to you directly, right? And then I've talked to you, you know, one-on-one as well. And, you know, I've learned that Richard treats his enemies like shit. Like, holy, I still have some of a problem with some of the stuff he says, but he treats his friends like very well. And he treats his fans, he treasures his fans greatly. So,
I actually do.
Yeah.
So, seriously, I got to say as well, what was his name? Shit, man, I'm saying I treasure him, and I can't remember what the fuck he was called. Was it the hair of the Wolf? Made a great video today. which I urge everybody to seek out. It got deleted off the subreddit. What a surprise! But it's a great interpretation. I retweeted it earlier of all of the drama and everything that happened. And again, honestly, all the support of the guys. This was the main thing. Like realistically, I got really ill with the stress. I have a stomach ulcer. I was like puking. I couldn't eat. You get caught in this catch-22. If you're getting non-stop shit and it makes you close yourself off and not interact with the fans and the people that support you, then you're getting doubly fucked, and you're fucking the people that will support your cause. So that's why I wanted to come out and kind of address it all. But anyway, I think that's the end to the drama. Bo, I really think that's great of you to say so. Ram, we're meme bros, so obviously that goes without saying. Everyone who's tuning in today,
I still fucking hate you. Like, I still fucking hate you.
So
you're just a bad human being. No, I'm just joking.
That goes without saying.
Listen, you do a good job, and you fight the good fight. Even though you do it the wrong way sometimes, at the end of the day, you do make a lot of the issues of esports known to public, and at the end of the day, it's only going to help. It's only going to help push it to be more legitimized.
That is what I care about. I mean, some people would call it advocacy journalism. But anyway, look, let's not talk about that shit. Enough about me, right? Let's get on with the show. So, Bo, here we are. Right, you're a guy who's had some fucking ups and downs of late as well. So, I mean, for the first thing I really want to talk about is, like, when I heard you go into Gravity, like, I was super psyched. I was like, wow, Souldra's fucking, he's in the big leagues, man. This is, like, a huge step up for him as an individual, and it's a huge opportunity for him to really prove what he's capable of and what he's all about. And then obviously it didn't last. It ended quite abruptly. So I think a lot of people really want to know what kind of went on behind the scenes, because you had loads of people respecting you on the subreddit, loads of people saying good things about you on Twitter, and then it seemed to be over in a few weeks. The honeymoon period didn't last very long at all. So what went down, man?
Well, first of all, I think there was like, I want to headline this with, I basically wasn't ready, and I was in love with the idea of being. I'm gonna say something that's like 100% a joke, but then something that like I was like kind of high, and then I was like thinking about this like a long time ago, and I was thinking to myself, if you're not talented enough to be a player for League of Legends, if you're not talented enough to be a player, you become an analyst or a coach. If you don't want to do analyst or coaching, you do journalism. And I thought that was just kind of like a funny relation. But, but I kind of went the opposite way. So I, started off with doing some writing, and I wrote this and that. And then I joined Gravity. And I think one thing that, I don't think I would ever get a beer with him. But one thing that Last Shadow has said in an interview is that are these coaches in love with coaching, or are they in love with the idea of coaching? And when I first came into that, I was really in love with the idea of coaching. I wasn't willing to put in the work, and fucking I just didn't have the game knowledge for it. And when I got there, I won't pretend. It was mostly my fault, but it didn't really help that sometimes Saint would come up to me going, "SoulDraa, you don't know shit about the game," and I would just be like, I guess it's true."
That was actually a pretty good Saint impersonation.
Well, dude, mine is good.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good.
I mean, and there's also the fact that Saint's game knowledge, and I don't know if this has been said, but I'm pretty sure out of all the people I've been around, his shot calling is clearly the best. And you can, when he's narrating the game, even when he's playing it and when we're doing scrims, you can clearly hear the flow of thought. Hanser, you have to go teleport here in 5 minutes, then you push out the wave, then we come, and then we're gonna do dragon, and we'll win the team fight, and that kind of shit. So when he does that so clearly, and he agrees with he's very grounded in his ideas about the game, which are 99% right, then it really just wasn't, I didn't have anything to add, because he was better and smarter about the game than I was. So in the end, while I was obviously fucking salty, I was so mad after I got replaced by LS and they asked me to leave the team, and I was inside, I was shit talking Davis, who's the owner. I was saying, fuck Saint, fuck all the people on that team. I think publicly, I would like to thank Saint, because he kind of taught me how to coach, because he was basically the in-house coach while I was there. And I would like to thank Davis, because although we were both immature, I think he and I are the same age. He gave me a chance and I took it. So. But no, the TLDR, I fucking sucked. So yeah, sorry.
No, but okay. So tell me, right? I mean, I'm going to drop out of the conversation in a minute because apparently my camera is still shitty. So I will fix that in a second. But just before I drop out, just keep the conversation going. Why do you think you sucked? I mean, in your own assessment, because you obviously know what you're talking about. You know the game very well. So why didn't it translate well in the gravity environment?
Well, it's all relative. So basically, if you're going to be a coach. Like, and this is to like all the aspiring coaches out there, because I get on my Ask FM like 30 fucking million questions a day. Like, yo, SoulDraa, how do I become a coach or an analyst or blah 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 blah. I'm never gonna say that, Ram. Fuck you. Anyways, okay, here I go.
Okay, no, wait. Before we I just want SoulDraa to repeat this statement in the Saint impersonation. I want him to say, "God damn it, Jackie! It doesn't matter if I miss smite elements. You suck dick." And I want to hear SoulDraa say it.
God damn it, Jackie. It doesn't matter if I miss smite. Elements, you suck dick. I don't know. Like, it got bad at the end.
That was pretty good, man. That was actually... If I close my eyes, and I do often close my eyes and think of Saint Vicious because he's just so dreamy. But that was really good. It's
something about the receding hairline that just gets to me,
Anyway, so advice to all the young coaches, like... if you want to coach, you have to have at least one of two things. The best coaches have both, but if you want to be a coach, you either have to have pretty like innate game knowledge, and this usually doesn't come from only studying League of Legends. If you look at like all of the good coaches, such as you have people like Loco, like LS, in the West you have people like Prawley and like Daylor from Fnatic. A lot of them not only come from League of Legends background, they come from different games, like whether it be poker or Street Fighter or Dota 1. But if you're playing more and more games, then you just kind of innately understand the way a lot of video games work and like the mechanics behind video games. And second of all, if you're gonna be a coach, if there's someone like Saint who's even like 10 years older than you telling you to shut the fuck up, you have to say, "No, motherfucker, you shut the fuck up and listen to me, because I'm the coach, and while I'm here we do things my way." And you really have to be able to put your foot on the door. Carl Cray, the coach of Copenhagen Wolves, he and I have had conversations about what the appropriate, tone you should take with your players should be. And I'm pretty sure he's a little bit more, relaxed and a little bit more friendly with his players, while I think I'm keeping a little bit more distance. But it's you really do have to approach the job with confidence, and even if you get knocked down, you can't let your that will be shattered. You have to have a will to improve. Don't be like me. Like, don't get knocked down once and start playing fucking Counter-Strike because like you think your life sucks and that you'll never know anything about this game. Like, don't do that shit. Like, don't listen to the people who say like, "Oh, you'll never be a coach." If you keep working at anything, you can do it. So yeah,
What I want to know is how the transition from Gravity to Gamers 2 and like what's changed, because on Gravity you dealt with a jungler that shit talk you. On Gamers 2 you deal with a jungler that shit talks everybody else. So how does that change for you? What's changed between SoulDraa on Gravity and SoulDraa on Gamers 2?
The funny thing about a jungler like Gilius is that he has a reputation for being like he's kind of like turned around a little bit. Like, he has a reputation for being like a little toxic, right? But the thing I like about players like Gilius, just a little bit, Riot was never going to ban him or anything, so just a little bit. But players like him are like emotional players like him. A lot of the emotional European players like him, once they believe in a system, they'll really buy into it. So if you approach this job, hi Eka, if you approach this job with confidence, and if you approach the job like, okay, I'm gonna be, what I say is law, and I clearly see you doing wrong shit on the map, so what I'm saying is basically your gospel from now on, then they really buy into your system. And it's almost like a traditional coaching thing, where it's like, a soccer player listening to a coach who's like 40 years older than him. And I feel like I have a relationship with a lot of the players here, like at least when we were working. But yeah.
So what about? I mean, like, I want to talk about resilience. I guess is the key thing here. I mean, you're a grown-up guy. You've got plenty of shit going on in your life, and you found it difficult to be in that environment. Away from home, sort of living in as a coach, being surrounded by people that were maybe undermining your authority a little bit, and perhaps being a little bit hostile towards some of your ideas. Now, obviously, there's people younger than you who have all of that as well. that are kind of playing in that environment with perhaps more pressure and more spotlight. So
Right.
tell me about resilience and how important it is if you actually want to succeed.
You need to be it's North America and Europe a little bit different, I think. First of all, I should say that. But in general, you need to make sure you're always passionate while playing. That's the funny thing, because when I was in NA, people played solo queue all the time. Like, from what I saw, people played solo queue all the fucking time. Like, they just spent hours and hours and hours and grinding on it. And maybe because there are more Koreans in NA now, and like, you know, they bring that kind of culture where you just grind 12 hours of solo queue a day. But then, of course, obviously, like, there are a ton of streamers there, and it gets a little bit trolly almost. But in Europe, I see players playing a little bit less solo queue, but they care a lot more. And you'll see them fucking get cancer, you fucking Jew, like, you know, that bullshit, and like tell them to go.
That's my favorite good morning greeting. That's like my
Yeah,
favorite
it
good morning.
sounds like my Twitter feed, dude.
Like, you motherfucker, like, I'll take your mother's house, bitch, like, you know, that kind of shit. Like, slamming your keyboard on the ground. You know, you see that shit a lot in Europe, right? And that's because I think that when they approach the game, like, they just put a lot more passion into a smaller amount of time that they're playing in order to be more efficient. So what I think is, like, there's no right way to become good at the game. You play the right amount. Gilius is fucking laughing at me. You play the right amount. Yeah, Gilius is a dog. He's a bitch. Anyways, you have to play the right amount that you think is good, and just make sure that you're always loving the game, and you're always, whether you approach it like a job, make sure you never get tired of it, because if you get tired of it, then, or if you become like a little bit depressed, or if something affects your mentality, then you become like me and you don't want to watch the game anymore. So yeah, I mean, just make sure you like the game. It's a fucking video game. Just enjoy it.
I was like, if I'm just gonna interject on that before he's like, as someone who's had to deal with like all the most random bullshit between a visa issue or just anything in general, like, my best way to deal with adversity is when you feel like there's a huge obstacle and it's really pushing you down, just get up and fuck it right in the pussy. Like, honestly, just fucking try to push through it, because if your dream is to make it to the LCS and to coach on the big stage and to really try to make a name for yourself. I actually saw something on Twitter a few weeks ago that really pissed me off. It's where Crepo was saying that he felt like he regret his decision coming back as a player, and he maybe should have just been a coach or a shoutcaster. And it really pissed me off, because if you're passionate about something and you decide to do something, then you should never regret it. It's not a wrong decision if it's what you love. Just fucking go and do it. And just like, it's such a cliche thing to do it, but just follow your dreams. Just like, if you dream big and you work hard and you get shit done, then eventually shit's gonna, you know, make it happen for you. Like, adversity is nothing. Adversity is nothing.
People say this all the fucking time. Like, SoulDraa, like, I started off, like, the way I got my popularity was through a shitty little talk show called China Talk, right? Very, like really bad show. And then we started off with 5 viewers, 10 viewers, and I get people telling me all the time, like, oh, SoulDraa, like, you're lucky you have game knowledge, or you're lucky you're like a chubby Asian kid with small eyes, so you're basically a virtual meme. Everyone laughs at you. No, motherfucker. Like, people come up to me and say, you know, why am I not a media superstar? And I'm just like, motherfucker, you can go make Brazil talk right now, and it'd be the exact same thing, but all these Brazilians will watch it. There's an open market right there. So just put work into it. As long as you put work into it, you can do anything in esports, I promise you. And I'm pretty sure that's what every single person, whether it be a player or a coach, as long as you don't sign your mother's house to a fucking organization, I'm sure you can do anything you want to in esports, okay? Please don't do that shit.
I see we're trying to make as many Meet Your Makers references in one show.
Oh, well, we can bring them up. Well, we'll certainly get into that. So, look, here's the thing, Bo. You kind of get replaced by Last Shadow, who, you know, I got a lot of love for. Me and Nick get along great. You know, full disclosure there, he is
Actually,
a
before
friend.
you go on, halfway through the show, just to keep things consistent, we're actually kicking you off and bringing Last Shadow on. You know, just to keep things as consistent as possible.
Well, maybe we should, man. Let's actually bring him on. He can probably do a better job hosting. He's certainly better to look at.
I think this show. I think this show would just be. Oh my God, Gilius is here.
Uh-oh.
Oh fuck, he's got something to say.
Uh-oh. Oh.
He doesn't know how
it's all right. Yeah, it's okay. He censored himself. Look.
I'm not toxic.
He's also not very technically minded either. But I do love Gilius. He's a cool guy. Simon, so I was asking, Last Shadow obviously stepping in and replacing you. How do you feel about that? Because obviously you're aware of Last Shadow. How do you feel you measure up to him? A lot of people think that he's one of the best coaches in the West. I've certainly labeled him as such in past content I've done.
Here's why I admire Last Shadow. I don't necessarily dumbass. I don't necessarily agree with all the things that he says. Like, I'm not gonna like blindly accept that like, oh, like for example, like Luden's Echo is a shit item, or like, blah blah blah, or you gotta use your F keys, or you gotta path this way, or get racked this way. Like actually because Last Shadow is a guy who once said in an interview, like he thinks that the perfect defense is always the best offense. When there's an unstoppable force and an immovable rock, the immovable rock will always win. And I actually think the opposite way. But we can talk about that.
Wait, shouldn't that be the opposite? He said if they think the best defense is an offense, then wouldn't the unstoppable force win? Or
no. He's saying that between an unstoppable offense and the best defense will always win.
Okay,
that's what he said in the interview. But the fact that he has generated that amount of content, like, I watch all of his interviews and I go on all of his fucking video and I watch all of his videos, right? And like when you generate that amount of content, you can't help but have respect for that guy. So initially, yeah, like I said before, I don't think I'd ever get a beer with him, because like I watch a stream all the time just so I can learn as much as I can. And sometimes he's sarcastic towards his viewers, which I don't really like. He doesn't, talks different people. Like, honestly, I'd punch him if I saw him in real life. But
really,
I'd punch him at LAN. No, I'm joking. But
no, it's okay to say that. I'm amazed. I didn't realize you felt so strongly about this. And plus,
like,
you seem a really nice guy.
Richard, it's the reason I fucking hated you in last year, because you treated some of your readers like shit. Anyways, to get back to
listen, I just reading my work doesn't necessarily mean that you're intelligent. It's a start. I'll give you that. It makes you more intelligent than someone that chooses not to, but I'll call him as I see him. You can get fucked. I don't care.
I can just imagine Last Shadow walking through the door, fucking Hubo just pouncing on him across the room, beating the shit out of him. Luden's Echo is a legit item, man. Just fucking beating him into a pulp. I can actually see a rage-induced Hubo.
Jesus Christ, dude.
I can't help but feel that a lot of people feel the same way about Last Shadow. When it comes to his knowledge about the game, the way that he conveys his opinions, and the content that he generates, it's all very high quality, and I think everybody can agree with that. And I don't necessarily have anything against Last Shadow, but it really has to be said that he's got a personality that you either love or hate. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy to hate it. I don't personally hate Last Shadow. I don't have anything against him, but I can understand why people would have not the best opinion about him personality-wise. But when it comes to the way that he knows the game and the way that he views the game and his actual work, he's really, really good on it.
To conclude what Ram was saying, if you see someone who kind of came from the same ground as you and like he started fucking grinding, he did lessons. I don't even care how much he charged. Like his money is his own issue. He started doing lessons. He started keep doing plugs. He worked for a bunch of coaches, a bunch of players. I see validate his experience. You can't help but respect the guy. So yeah, much like a lot of respect for him. And I don't mind.
Here's a question for you. I mean, given your feelings towards him, which I had no idea. It's almost like I planned this because obviously Last Shadow was in the previous show, and obviously I don't plan First Blood anymore. It's just you just got to throw this shit together and see if it works. But does that make it worse for you then that he's kind of come in and taken your place, and they've done quite well under his coaching?
To be honest, Davis, much love for you, man. But then after the week after I got fired, of course, I wanted to seem like I was like grateful, but I was still like really angry inside. Like I had like a rage-filled baby inside. So I was typing like
Salt.
I was typing like #GVWin on my Twitter all the time. But I was like, fuck Saint, fuck Keen, fuck. But I hope you motherfuckers lose. I hate all of you. But like honestly, like when those things die away, I respect if someone's gonna take my job and he's good at it. I can respect that. Like, and it's taught me a lot about a lot about life. Like, I haven't had a lot of official like working jobs yet that I've earned by myself. And if you're not gonna grind, like when I was there, I was started playing like CS:GO and shit. Like, if you're not gonna grind it out, if you're not gonna show the players that you're committed to winning and that you're willing to put in the work, you're willing to put in more work than Saint Vicious. And Saint Vicious, fucking watches this game at least like 14 hours a day. He plays. He has LP on his monitor all the time. If you're not gonna put in the same amount of work, then get the fuck out of the house. And I agree with that. And that's that kind of mentality. There's a certain hours to work and there are certain hours to grind. I think I cherish.
I was surprised, actually. I got to be honest. Like, when I heard Last Shadow was going to coach Gravity, I was like, uh-oh, that ain't gonna last. Because I know what Saint is like, I think, you only have to look at his Twitter feed. It's not like I have any great insight. I don't even think me and Saint Vicious have ever talked in person, actually. But you only have to look at his Twitter feed to see what he thinks of coaches. He very often publicly states, I don't think there's any good coaches, and I believe that he thinks, like, it's interesting because to be a champion, to be good, to be a leader, you've got to have this kind of attitude. But I think he thinks, well, I can't leave the team because I'm too good at calling shots and they need a captain and a leader. But if I could, I'd be the perfect coach as well. And it's almost as if he's measuring everybody by, his standard. He's measuring everybody by being like him.
Here's the only issue that I have anything with Saint about anything he said. On Twitter, I saw a guy, like, right after I got fired, I saw a guy like, what did Souldra do badly or what did he not do wrong? How do you become a good coach? And Saint said something along the lines of, if you don't know this, you'll never be a good coach. And that's an attitude I fucking detest. Like, I hate that shit. Because all structure comes from the ground up. The reason why we have experienced coaches now is because either they, A, come from Korea, B, played poker before, or C, played Dota before and played another game, or have played League of Legends for several years and understand the game and are friends with the players so they can move into these teams. But respect the fact that, like, it's not like coaching is not an innate like talent that you can only find like once in a generation. Maybe you do need some talent. You need to have a loud voice. You need to be confident. Yeah, sure. That might be true. But like, I really believe that people should be, inspiring each other all the time. And saying that like, oh, you random motherfuckers have no chance to become a coach, I don't think that's the right thing. I think anyone and everyone has the potential to become a coach, has the potential to become a player or a journalist. Just keep fucking that chicken, dude. Like, you gotta keep grinding every day. You gotta keep dancing to the beat, right?
Did you just say keep fucking that chicken?
I believe where Bo lives, that's actually a common phrase, isn't it?
Wait. Keep fucking that chicken?
It's a phrase from my high school. Yeah.
Do they fuck chickens at your high school?
No.
Can I ask what? Oh, no, you better not.
Did you?
Richard's doxing people again. He's doxing people. I was going to say, what high school did you go to? But I better.
Did you buy the chicken dinner, or did you make it dinner before you fucked it, or something? I'm sorry. That just fucking. Poor fucking chickens, man. What the fuck?
You've got to keep fucking the chicken. I don't know. Actually, just on a side note, and you guys at home can Google this. One of the Darwin Awards from way back, like when the internet was young and good, there was a guy as a photo. You'll be able to find it, like a black and white photo. And I think it was from Mexico. And some guy had like wandered up into the hills to fuck a chicken in private. And there's a photo of him with his head just crushed by a giant boulder with the chicken still on his dick. And he got into fucking the chicken so much, he shook a rock loose and it killed him. So when you say keep fucking the chicken, I don't know where that saying comes from, but it's not Mexico, is it?
It comes from our high school based. Never mind. Also, I would like to apologize in advance for my excessive use of profanity. It's like my old China, because in China Talk, everyone wanted me to talk trash, and so I always, I just like keep cussing.
Literally,
Yeah,
all I do is fucking meme on this show anyway. You can fucking swear. No one cares.
Right.
I noticed that you like saying motherfucker a lot, like you're a gangster or something like that. So that's really entertaining.
From the hood. Anyways,
let's never talk about fucking chickens again. Next topic.
Let's try and avoid that, unless Twitch for April Fools, the hilarious April Fools we've had today, could put in, instead of playing League of Legends, you can, fucking chickens or something. That'd be quite good. But, right, so let's, I've lost my train of thought. I did have a question. It was one of the questions. That was it. Now, Last Shadow has always said he wanted to do this with, like, maybe someone like Monte Cristo or someone like that, a coach off, where he takes 5 players and the rival coach takes 5 players. They spend like a week together. They come up with some team compositions and some strategies, and they come together and do like a best of 5 for charity or something. So given everything you've said about Last Shadow, and given that, he kind of took your job and all of that stuff, would you do a coach off with him? If we could make it happen, would you do it?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would be perfectly fine doing it. I mean, what have you got to lose? It sounds like I'm saying that I think that I'm better than LS, which is not true at all. I think he's right now he has more experience than me, and that's the only reason why he's better right now. But then I think that if I worked just as hard as LS and I stuck to doing the gaming coaching for a few years, I think I could beat his ass. Why not? Like, but yeah, I'd be willing to do a coach off. I don't know how this would happen, but
I'll try and make it happen. I'll act as a go-between
oh my
you,
God.
just to keep it friendly, and when he wakes up, I'll mention it straight away. I'll be like,
Christ.
"Oh, Hubo said he could beat you in a coach off, mate. He thinks he's better than you. Get him riled up. He won't watch the video, obviously. He won't watch this, and then we can. I can't. I'm not going to teach him anything about League, am I? So we'll make it happen. We'll try and make it happen. We'll think of a good charity that can happen. Some sort of perhaps moderators in distress. Now that I've had their Timo hats taken from them.
I'm not gonna lie. Like the thought of a coach off, just in general, is really interesting. Like it could almost be like a captain's draft. Like take all 10 coaches of the EU and NA LCS and mix all the EU and NA players together, and then just draft people from that.
That would never. That's never gonna happen.
Could you just imagine? And then
it'd be awesome.
It would suck awesome. Because whoever got Bjergsen would win the entire league. No one else. I mean, there would be the guy who got Bjergsen, the guy who got Lustboy, and then it would just be over after that.
Isn't that what they said before? I am San Jose. When Power of Evil fucked Bjergsen.
Yeah, but people thought that SK Gaming were gonna we're gonna advance to the quarterfinals, and then Yoey Flashwell just kind of pooped on them.
How can SK Gaming focus on playing when Forgiven is literally like to N-rated? N-rated is like, all right, I'm gonna ward mid. It's like, are you retiring yet?
One story at a time, guys. One story at a time. So look, I think we should try and make this coach thing happen. And do you know what I also think it'd be funny? We have Ram as the final boss, and he prepares to take. It's like Space Jam. You've got to play the Monstars at the end.
Literally, you have to play the complexity lineup. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, it's like we'll make Coobs play as well. That'll be funny.
Oh my god.
Yeah, look, you can hear everyone's like, "What the fuck?" So yeah, we'll do this. We'll try and make it happen if Riot don't shut us down for having some fun. Right. So lots of stories going on. And again, I want to thank you both for opening up about all of that stuff. I know it was a strange time in your life. In fact, actually, no. Before we do move on, let's talk about gamers too, man. That'd be remiss.
I just want to put on record that if I ever went against Hubo in a coach off, I would fucking crush him.
Well, again, it's interesting because here we are talking about Bo. He took Last Shadow took his job. He kind of ended up taking your job in a way, didn't he?
In a way, yes. Except, getting too old by LLL don't really consider that a very job-esque type thing.
Beast mode. So how have things been going in Gamers 2? Because I got to say, you don't make things easy on yourself, Bo, if you want to play it live. Because if you're like, working with Saint, it can be challenging. And now you're working with Ocelot, who's a very different kind of ego, a very different kind of leader. So what's that been like?
Ocelot has been, and I would say this regardless, but Ocelot has been incredibly supportive and passionate about getting our team into the LCS. That's his only, that's his only goal. This guy, you can see why. This guy has tried for, I think, a year and a half on his own to get into the LCS. And then That doesn't work out, right? So then he purchases another team full of like really good young talent, like what it was Perix, Binsu, Obvious, and some random AD and support, right? It was Kabi, and I don't know who the support was. So, huh? It was it was
Kasing.
It was Kasing. So like a really talented. He purchased a really talented roster, and then they lost to Nevo, and then he purchased Nevo, and then they were like, okay, how do I fucking raise the state of the team? And they was like, oh, maybe I should get a coach. So they brings in this SoulDraa motherfucker, and he brings him here. And since SoulDraa has arrived at the house, he's gone 0-4. He's lost to Teemo twice, and he lost to LLL. He got swept by LLL. So you can, you can kind of see. I'm sure a lot of people could realize just like the amount of investment he has put into this team, and like he really wants this team to succeed. He houses all of us, and I can say that he's been incredibly supportive of me as a coach. And I think this week he's going to be. I think he usually doesn't interfere with my style or with like any kind of management. But I do know that I've talked to Ocelot a lot, and Carlos says that he's not going to interfere. He's still not going to interfere, but then he does want to be around us a little bit more to make sure that we are focusing. Because Reason Gaming, we have the fight for our lives in this coming split, and like if we don't make Reason Gaming.
I believe that you guys can destroy Reason Gaming.
But then the fact of the matter is that if, I thought that about LLL and other teams as well, but the fact of the matter is that if we don't win against Reason Gaming, the team is, I don't see a future for the team. I'll probably retire and go back to studying, and the dream will quote unquote be dead. So
Reason Gaming I'm really still salty the fact that Reason Gaming got that spot. They have no business being in that qualifier. We crushed them 2-0, and we earned that playoff spot, and they kind of got in a technicality. They have no business being there. You guys will crush Reason Gaming. Mm-hmm. I think that your lineup playing against you guys when we did with Dignitas EU was actually quite challenging in a way. There was a lot going on around the map. Obviously, we saw a lot of weaknesses not only in the game versus LLL, but I think that LLL, you guys might have underestimated them, and I know we did. They're a really dark horse team that just for no real reason. Besides the fact that they just mesh insanely well together. For no real comprehensible reason, their top laner just fucking pops off and just does the most ridiculous stuff and hard carries. It's just a team that the planets align every time they get into a competitive game, and it just works. And it has no real explanation.
I think there's a lot to be said for a team that doesn't care. And they don't care enough. They don't feel tense when they're on the keyboard. They don't feel like they're fighting for their lives, because I'm pretty sure interacting with some of the players, they never thought that they'd get this far. And I'm pretty sure they're only really starting to grind now after they find out that they're going to be playing LCS promotion relegations anyways. So there's a lot to be said for a team that doesn't care about winning and just cares about playing the game.
Yeah, just plays their own game.
Yeah,
I've written about this for years, and there's two very distinct forms of psychology. There's almost the will to win, but there's also teams that are scared of losing, and there isn't necessarily a kind of one of those is better than the other. For example, Mike Tyson always used to say that he was terrified outside of the ring, in the build up to a fight. It was fear was his primary motivator, and it wasn't until he took the steps towards the ring before the fight started that he felt himself getting stronger and stronger. So it is interesting when you say teams that don't really give a shit. I mean, Reason had that good game against Origin, right? I'm not imagining things, am I?
Origin underperformed to
At the same time, though, I will say this: even though Origin underperformed in Game 2, if Xiaoyu hadn't thrown the game away in Game 2, then Reason Gaming would have 2-0'd Origin, and they'd be playing LLL in the final. That's how close it was. Xiaoyu single-handedly, carried this thing and just tossed it away. So I mean, they were very close, and it's even more of a reason not for us to underestimate anybody. And I don't think we do. I don't think we underestimate anybody. We go in knowing who we're gonna play. We didn't underestimate. I don't think we necessarily underestimated Mouse Esports, even though they were last and we lost 0-2. I didn't think we underestimated Lowline Lions, even though we lost 0-2. So right now, maybe it's because of my inability as a coach, and maybe I do fucking suck. I don't know. But right now, I'm trying to find the magical key to get these guys to perform, because I know that they can perform from practice, from scrims, from talking with the players. I know that they can be a very good team in Europe, but I just have to unlock that.
How do you guys, and this is at both of you, how do you guys think the LCS experience translates when you come down into Challenger? Because obviously, one of the things I will say about Reason Gaming is, you know, their roster has a bit more LCS experience than gamers too. You know, they've got players that have played in that spotlight at the highest level. Do you think when you come down to Challenger, that makes a big difference? That players who have played in the LCS are superior?
I think it makes you even more nervous. I remember a tweet a few months ago where Amazing said something like he was trying to qualify for the European Challenger Series, and Amazing said something like, "Holy fuck, dude! Like that game where we had to qualify for EUCS was even more stressful than our Worlds performance." So when you realize that there are expectations of you, then you tend to freeze up just a little bit. But that, like, I don't know, the game has progressed so far strategically that if you give up a little, even if you give up just a little bit, like you give up one tower for free or you give up a dragon for free, that can be game changing. And that's going back to the original thing. Like this Cosq guy, this Morsu guy, these dudes look like they're just playing for fun, and they look like they have a lot of fun playing the game. So I can respect that they're playing to the beat of their own drummer. That has never been more true for any other team. So. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of nervousness in the Gamers 2 house, and hopefully I can alleviate that this week.
Well, yeah, I hope so as well. Now, look, we'll move on and we'll start doing a quick little roundup in just a second. But before we do the roundup of the news, obviously, we all know what today was. It was April Fool's Day. And I don't know about you guys. I fucking hate April Fool's Day. It's so,
oh, my God.
No, listen, when you're a journalist, it's just the fucking worst because everyone in esports, because they all want to go viral so we can get the web hits, they just put out these like cringe-worthy fucking jokes over and over again. I woke up, I had a cup of coffee, I opened my browser, Honey has joined the Fnatic CSGO team. Close my browser. It's like I just want to go back to bed. Like, just please. It's honestly, it's like just someone directly shitting into your eyes. It's unbelievable that you have to go through this. And it got right. And I think the worst part is it's got to be said. Who are these people that believe this? It's April Fool's Day. It's called April Fool's. It's in the thing. You can see it. Who falls for an announcement on April Fool's Day? Like, there was people underneath going, "Oh my God, why? Fnatic are nothing without you. Why?" Like, dude, he's not. It's April Fool's Day. He's not joining the CS:GO team, is he? He's probably never even played the game. What the fuck?
I think you underestimate how stupid people can be.
Wait, I thought.
Come on.
I thought
like,
I was about to say I think you underestimate how smart people can be. I thought.
No, I think you underestimate how stupid people can be, or people are trolling you. But like, what really pissed me off is when Riot made the announcement about unbanning Incarnation, which we're probably gonna talk about later. People were like, "Oh, it's an April Fool's joke. They're fucking with him."
God. Man, and could you imagine if Riot? Do you know what though?
God.
I on the one hand, it would be a really shitty thing to do, but I think it would almost make me respect Riot a bit more if they did do that. Like, hey guys, you're all unbanned. Psych. That would have been fucking great. I'd have laughed at that actually.
Oh my fucking God.
But it would have sucked. I'd have laughed at it privately and then wrote an article about what bastards they were for doing it. That's what I would.
That is such a sick fucking joke. Like, Incarnation, you're unbanned. Psych!
Yeah,
no, you're actually going to jail.
Yeah, we've actually finally proven all the shit.
We fined you $1,500, by the way.
But yeah, unbelievable. But I mean, I don't know. Well, what did you guys think was the worst one today? Because I mean, the Honey one was absolutely. I mean, we've talked about the subreddit one. That's fucking garbage. The Honey one is garbage.
I thought the funniest one was when I went on the Reddit and I saw a fucking post-game thing of a chess game.
Yeah, that
and I'm
was
just
horrible.
like, what's this? I go in and I actually see it's a fucking chess game. And I'm like, holy shit, they actually did this. And then I read the fucking comments and it's like, he actually made a really good move to A5 there. And I'm like, they're actually talking about chess. I don't know why, but that just fucking made me laugh so hard.
It just shows what I've said all along. Like, when I stream, when I'm playing games on Twitch, there's always someone like, no, and I play really obscure and old games. Like, everyone loves it when I play Sega Bass Fishing, right? So I play that, and there's a guy every time in the chat who goes, no, what you need to do is you need to wiggle your lure in an erratic fashion because it makes them think you're wounded and the fish will come closer. And you're like, how do you know that? You don't know that. You're making it up. But why would you sit in a Twitch chat and pretend you're the expert of like an obscure game that no one plays?
The Sega Bass esports scene was actually before your time, dude. Little do you know. These motherfuckers are serious.
It wouldn't surprise me. I bet there's some Korean out there who's just hardcore. He's sat there all day with a virtual rod, just like, yeah,
I quickly go on the subreddit, and the fucking top of the list is Santorin just ganked top.
That was funny. I laughed a little. That was okay. That was perfectly fine with me. I was about to say okay, and I was like, no.
Yeah, that is kind of yeah. I'll go with that one. I think that's okay. But yeah, seriously, honestly, it's been terrible. The only good thing about April Fool's Day has been Earth.
It's hilarious because I should be happy because like all the dank memes are now on Reddit, which is like kind of what I live for. But like, if everyone's a dank memer, then no one is, and you can expect a piece by Thorin on that coming up next week.
I do look forward to that. I do like the way as well that Thorin has been nicely quiet on April Fool's Day. Thank God.
Hypothetically, if everyone's a dank memer, why is Alex Ich the best mid laner in the world?
What I would want to see from Thorin is like perhaps he did a serious critical dissertation of Polish economics for April Fools. I think that'd be quite good. But yeah, honestly, it's just been fucking garbage, hasn't it? And this is the problem. Every time it comes around, and I've been in esports a long time. If you think they're gonna learn and they're just not gonna do it this year, like people just won't bother this year.
I mean,
we will be spared the cringe, but we never are. We never are.
You think that people would just be? You would hope that people would be a little bit more creative, but it seems like people are just like going through the motions at this point. Like we could kind of, you know, when these things kind of happen, you just like. You think in your head, like before you go to sleep, I hope like this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen, this doesn't happen on April Fool's Day, and then you wake up and the exact same shit happened, and you're like, okay, this is like not funny at all. Yeah. So yeah,
and it's like I said in a recent video I made. Every other day in esports is April Fool's Day. You know, the shit that you hear. It's far fucking funnier, isn't it? Trig esports. That's April Fools, motherfucker. They're lying out their ass. You know what I mean? That's fucking April Fools. That's every other day. And then it comes to like April Fool's Day and everyone's trying to troll you.
Oh my God.
It's not as funny or as weird as the shit that you've just been writing about on not April Fool's Day.
It says something. It does say something about esports though.
Yeah, honestly, fuck this business. Right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take a quick break, but I promise we will talk news and stuff after that break. What we are going to talk about is Ram's going to tell me all about Dignitas and what the fuck happened there. Then we're going to talk about a certain transfer that is Incarnation to Cloud9. And I can't believe people are still asking, was that an April Fool's? Motherfucker, what have I just said? I hate April Fools. I'm not doing April Fools. I haven't dignified any of it with a response. It's not an April Fool's. He's going to Cloud9, seriously. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to do a roundup of some of the other stories and a look ahead to the, a look ahead at some of the playoff games and whatnot. So we'll be right back in about 5 minutes. Get fed, get water, and we'll see you then on First Blood. Hello everyone and welcome back to First Blood. How nice of 300 of you to fuck off during the break, you arseholes. Don't come back. We're going to do a little roundup about all of the news. And I know there's one story on everyone's lips at the moment. We are going to talk about it, okay? I do promise. But before we do, not for the first time, Ram, our co-host Brokenshard, was embroiled in a tale of failure and despair.
What?
You know what happened.
Oh shit.
So Team Dignitas had to forfeit a Challenger Series playoff spot after they attained it with players that were old enough to compete in Challenger but not old enough to compete in the playoffs. This was a misunderstanding, I believe, of the rule that perhaps the Dignitas infrastructure weren't aware of. And of course, it as you said earlier, Ram, it opened the door for a reason to be there on a technicality. So let's talk about it. What the fuck happened?
So upon initially the decision for the team to play in the Challenger Series, we knew that Senkux and Wonderwear would not be 17 for the LCS split in the summer, but we wanted to play together as a team anyway and get to the playoffs and play through that because we were.
You can see what the game is too, guys. Think about it.
Yeah. So we thought that we would be able to play the playoffs with our two underage players, and I guess that was actually totally our fault for not reading the rules and seeing that, and not seeing that was a stupid assumption because apparently, they're okay to play the regular split but not the playoffs, which. While it doesn't make sense to me, and I think it's a pretty stupid rule, it's a rule regardless, and we didn't see it. Whatever. The reason why we had to forfeit is we had two subs on the that we could have actually used. One of them was Fake, who was our manager, and the other one was Zaitan, our former support, who we during the split actually benched for Voidal, because we wanted to change our bot lane and upgrade them. So in order to actually compete, we would have to play with these subs, and obviously that's not a very competitive lineup, but that would be to avoid forfeit. Now, we had a major issue getting the actual lineup together because one of our subs did not want to play, and Voidal actually had some medical issues, which I won't go into detail about, and actually, he's not even at home right now. He left the country to figure out some stuff medical-wise to take care of everything. So we would not be able to pull the roster together, and that's why we were forced to forfeit. A lot of people asked why we forfeit, why we didn't just play with our subs, and that's basically because we just couldn't get the 5-man roster even with our subs. We would only be playing with a maximum of 4 people. And there's a rule that we knew about, where it is the new acquisition rule, where you're not allowed to bring in new players after the 16th of March. Which means that you can't make new acquisitions, so we couldn't even replace those subs. So we were basically stuck without a roster, and we just forfeit. So Riot decided to strip us of the playoff spot, bump us down to 5th seed, and give it to Reason Gaming. While it makes sense to do that because they don't want half the buys, half the playoffs to be buys, it still kind of sucks because we earned the 4th place spot, completely legally playing within the rules.
Yeah.
We got the 4th place spot, which some people seem to think that we broke the rules playing with underage players, but it was actually well within our rights to use Senkux and Wonderwear during the regular season, in which we obtained that 4th spot. So the biggest difference between the 5th and 4th seed is not even just the playoff spot, but 4th seed, even if you get 4th place in playoffs, you get to automatically come back into Challenger split next split, whereas we now have to play a best of 3, which is still quite simple for us to requalify in. So kind of sucks. It's actually on us for not reading the rule. It's not necessarily my position to argue whether the rule is necessary or not. I think it's not the smartest.
Well, so let's get into that, because you know me, I like to scrutinize these things, and I'll bring Bo into this as well, as somebody that could potentially be impacted on by the rule in future.
Senkux in particular was actually really upset about the rule because if he knew about the rule, he wouldn't have played Challenger. He really wanted to go all the way and test his limits in playoffs. And one thing that people definitely realized throughout playing in this split is that Senkux was a truly talented player. Definitely one of the most up-and-coming players
He's
No,
he's the
yeah.
up and coming player.
He's
Not
he's
one
the
of the.
he,
He's
he
the
is
up and coming
he's
player.
probably like the best mid in the EUCS. Probably on par with Peke. Peke edges him out maybe by experience and team fighting, but just in sheer laning mechanics and just as an individual player, I actually think Senkux is right there at the top. And it made him. He actually said something that interested me. It said the rule doesn't make sense to me because it's like saying, all right, you're underage. The EUCS is for people like you who can't compete in LCS. Play in it. If you succeed, well, you can't even play playoffs,
Yeah.
which kind of sucks.
So
think-
here we go, Bo. Chip in with your view because look, I know why this rule exists, and I think it's been framed as like, oh, it's a protection thing. We don't want young children entering the competitive environment, professional environment with all of the pressure, and I think that's kind of the party line. But actually, it just comes down to the fact that it would be a real headache for them to implement in California law. That's basically what it boils down to. It would be just a huge ball ache. It's far easier to keep things 17 and over. So let's talk about it, Bo. What do you think about this rule? It must be disappointing for players that, you know, as we've said, have earned their spot.
Here's what I think. As you know, as a lot of people know, Brokenshard is a very good friend of mine, and like his anger is my anger to some extent. I actually do not have a problem with what happened. In general, I don't have a problem with the fact that Dignitas got bumped down and Reason Gaming got bumped up. The only shit that I'm a little bit I dislike is the fact that Brokenshard and Team Dignitas EU loses their prize money. That is something that I'm not a fan of because as far as I'm concerned, since you didn't play in the playoffs, you basically relinquished all of your prize money, which is something like 8,000 euros. That's a lot of money.
No,
you know,
we didn't. We didn't. We didn't lose our money.
Oh, you didn't lose your prize money?
Yeah, you're just talking out your ass right now.
Wait,
Really?
Oh, okay.
So how
Yeah.
how
Wait.
does that work, Ram? How can you forfeit the
Oh.
thing but keep the prize money?
So you
I
don't
thought it
actually.
said-
No, you don't get prize money for going to playoffs. You get prize money for completion of the EUCS split and additional prize money for being in playoffs. We forfeit basically a minimum of $3,000 for getting fourth in playoffs, up to a total of 10,000 if you make first. We didn't actually lose prize money.
Okay, then fuck
we
Brokenshard.
just yeah. The big thing that we lost is basically security in being in the UCS next.
Yeah, that's important too. You obviously have to feel for someone like Senkux and maybe Wonderwear because here's the thing, like Wonderwear, I think this is like EUCS, a platform like EUCS is somewhere where Martin can show off his talents. Whether he did that or not, we can discuss. But someone like Senkux, people knew he was good before, and I'm very sure that he had other offers to either fly to America or fly somewhere else. They would have given him a lot of money, but then he stayed here because he loved the competition and he wanted to test himself against players like Xpeka, like Gamers to Aka. So he wanted to see where he stood amongst the up and coming players in the scene.
Yeah.
The fact that he's not able to go to the playoffs and really test himself in a best of 3 environment, that I can feel for because this is a talent who has been widely scouted. Ram is in the scene, you're in the scene, I'm in the scene. We all know that people are looking at Senkux and they're like, let's bring this kid to America. Let's bring this kid somewhere because we gotta get this motherfucker on board.
I'm just like thinking of all the mids that I've played with in the past, like thinking all the way back to season 2. I've played with some pretty well-known players. I played shortly on a team with Tabs. I guess that's kind of the benefit I get from being bumped around to like a billion other teams. I've always been able to kind of see if a mid laner I was playing with is going to turn into something special. I first saw it with Fox when I was playing on SK Prime, and look where he is now. I saw it with Surin when he was on Copenhagen Wolves when I moved in. I said, yeah, this guy's really good. Like, you have to give him some time, and then look at him now. CW have developed into a team that has a legitimate carry in both the AD carry and mid lane position because of how Soren grows. And I saw it in Senkux. People knew he was good, but people didn't know he was that good. He is raw talent, and Dignitas EU is going to come back into the next split looking for blood because he will be eligible for spring of 2016. There will be nothing restricting him from playing in playoffs, and he wants revenge. So we're going to really shake up a storm, and that's kind of like the big issue is that like he was never really able to truly test himself in a best of 3. We don't even know how we would do in a best of 3. We've only really ever played best of 1s. We could actually be like the best team best of 3. Probably not, but whatever.
So, I mean, do you think it needs to be changed to make it a bit clearer? Do we need to have consistency throughout the whole of the Challenger series, just because it's not going to give anyone any false expectations? Like, would you?
I mean, Richard, it would be outside of my bound, like outside of my kind of authority, because to doubt what you're saying, to doubt that the reason why like these 16-year-olds can't play in the playoffs is because of the California state law. I certainly have like no authority in that. I have no reason to doubt you. You're almost always right.
Well, I mean, you only have to look at the.
But,
I mean, it is just guesswork on my part.
Right,
It's certainly not.
But
it just makes sense,
But logically, like just logically thinking about it, these like the EUCS like in the NACS playoffs are, I just like watched the stream and stuff like that. This broadcast acquires more viewers than any of like the regular season games because people want to see who's going to get into Challenger. If Xpeke was playing and this young gun, Senkux, was playing against him, people want to see that shit, right? People want to see what the future of the LCS is. Well, I guess like the only logical thing I can think of is, well, Senkux is not actually the future of the LCS. Like, what if they make it to finals? And then you could say something like, okay, what if they make it to finals? Then they're gonna have to replace these kids and then go into LCS. Now let's extrapolate. What if I hire 5 14-year-old Chinese kids who are all, extremely talented at their position to make it all the way to EUCS finals, make it to auto promotion, and then just replace them with completely new players. So I guess you could extrapolate it that way. That doesn't seem very tenable to me, but it does make a little sense in all honesty. Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope Dignitas bounced back from it. I know that, it was a bit of a frustrating season all round. Ram, I mean, what does it mean for the future of the team and the future of you within it?
I'm still on Dignitas. We'll have a team. Don't worry. We're gonna come back to the EUCS next split, and I can't really say much more about that. We're ready to we're ready to fuck the chicken.
Yeah.
It's good to know. Right, so someone's about to fuck a chicken in NA, and it's Cloud9. They fucked the chicken real good because we found out today, we had it confirmed by several sources. I did that Incarnation within 24 hours of it being announced that he would be unbanned, he would be eligible to compete starting May the 11th. He's been signed to all intents and purposes by Cloud9. It's legitimately happening. Well, yeah. And I've got to say, I speculated about this happening for many months. It made sense. I knew when they spoke to him back in January, they made a kind of unwritten agreement that if you do get unbanned, there's a home for you here. And I think it's a phenomenal move. I think it's really going to put Cloud9 back on top. I'm so excited about it. So let's talk about what it means. I mean, first of all, Incarnation as a player.
When I first saw Incarnation play, I like to think of myself, like when I was first up and coming in the scene, like I like to think of myself as like different roles. I was almost like role playing a little bit, and I like to think of myself as like a scout almost. And especially since I was dealing with the Chinese scene, which no one knew, I would see these players who didn't have a lot of exposure, and I would say like this dude is the real deal. And the most famous example of that, like not a lot of people follow me, but the most famous example that people will know is OMG's Cloud. Like no one really gave this guy a lot of credit because he didn't play that much because he was basically toxic and his teammates hated him. But then he had a really good performance in the world stage, and I had said for a long time, like, this dude is really, really good. When I saw Incarnation play, someone just showed me like a random game with him that they had recorded. I was like, holy shit, this guy is the truth. Like, wow, he's really, really, really good. And I was very, very impressed. I think I watched a total of 2 or 3 games with him, and he's just really, really good. I do want to say though, and we've been talking about it in Gamers 2 House, whether Incarnation's going to perform up to par, whether Cloud9's going to get worse, or whether they're going to get better. You would think that Cloud9 can only get better. But the thing is, I don't want people to throw away how important a clear shot caller is. I've been in a room with a clear shot caller, Saint, and you gotta respect this dude because he lines out everything perfectly. And I've heard that Impaler, who's now on Final Five, he does kind of the same thing. And those guys are really invaluable. They just talk a lot. I'm going here, I'm going there. And it usually comes from the jungle position. But this guy's like a mid laner, and he has shown consistent mastery of consistent mastery of the knowledge of what to do around the map and where to rotate to when someone is pressuring another objective. And so I am a little bit scared because shot calling is very, very important. The counter argument is that, Cloud9, they went to All-Stars with Link. They performed pretty well. They even took a game off of a Chinese team. Like, they can do this.
No. The counter argument is it doesn't matter how good you shot call if you literally lose lane to every other NA mid laner.
Okay,
like, I'm sorry. Like, at this point, it's like Hai has had way more bad games than good games. That his shot calling is valuable, but I feel that there's a lot that they can do with Incarnation on the team, and just say potentially, because I actually don't know if it's 100%. They can teach other people to shot call. Like, I don't think that Cloud9 is a bunch of brain dead players. I think other people know how to shot call too, or can try.
I do think, like, I do want to. I mean, you've been a player longer than I've been in the scene, but I do want to caution, like, it's hard constantly talking. You're playing the game, you're concentrating on CS, you're fucking constantly motor mouthing. Like, it is really hard. It is really, really, really hard, and something that only a few players can actually do. Because I've been listening to comms for a while, whether it's other teams' comms or Gravity's comms or Gamers 2's comms, and it is incredibly difficult to do, just to keep talking consistently like that.
So look,
but Incarnation's fucking good.
I tend to agree with Ram here though. Like, look, I feel for this dude. Really, this isn't like when we used to crucify Link on this show, where Link actually wasn't putting in the work. That's inarguable. We used to have all the memes, which Ram loved, about him playing Hearthstone and everything else. We literally talked about it a lot. Now he's put the work in and has improved immensely this season. He's been spearheading CLG's success. But Hai has gone kind of the other way. And some of it's been predicated on health problems. I mean, this guy had a fucking collapsed lung less than a year ago. We know he's having to sort of try and prevent the onset of carpal tunnel, which isn't cool. That stuff really sucks. And it's the kiss of death for a pro gamer. I know a lot of StarCraft players who've suffered with it as well. And I just feel that the time is right, because you can be a great shot caller, but it's like sometimes it just feels like he's almost in such a rush to die so he can focus on the team fight and focus on the shot calling. And that's, I know, it just feels like he's having terrible team fights and really bad laning phases as well. Quite often, more often than a team of Cloud9's caliber deserves. That's my take on it, without any expertise or anything, just watching it as a casual.
And Ram, I'm gonna like, just talk in front of you one more time, but I do hope that, like, Hai has, like, I think, Richard, you've basically inferred, or you've done some research and said that Hai will probably have some kind of place on the team, and I hope his, like, contract, he just receives the same kind of benefits. Because one thing that I've always found interesting was that, and I think one thing that esports is moving towards is that we all know right now, esports as some kind of, like, a bunch of evil organizations who use you up and then cut you off. Basically, like, you're useless, boom. And one thing that Kobe Bryant once said in an interview when he responded to, the U.S. soccer coach is Jurgen Klinsmann, and he basically said, why are the LA Lakers paying Kobe so much money, right? And Kobe basically said, there's not an aspect of just meriting the money, there's an aspect of reward as well. Like, as esports grows, you want to know which organizations are going to take care of you. Even after you're done as a player, you want to know which organizations are going to take care of you and which organizations are going to threaten to steal your mother's house. So, with that being said, I really do hope that Hai does have some kind of role, because he's a brilliant mind. I mean, I've talked to him before, a really personable guy. I mean, I was basically like a fanboy in, like, the team room, and he was like, hey, what's up, dude? And he was, like, really, really nice to me. I know that he hates losing. He's very, extremely, extremely competitive. And I do hope that, like, TSM has taken care of Odd One. after his career finished, and I do hope the same thing happens to Cloud9.
I've got no doubt that it will, Bo. I'll tell you this. This wasn't easy, for Jack. I'm confident about that. I know Jack. He is
I wouldn't be surprised if Hai had some say in it as well.
Yeah, exactly. I honestly think Hai is such a nice guy. This is why it's always hard to kind of. I understand a lot of League fans aren't very. They're not as old as some of us, and it can be very hard to kind of disseminate what you actually mean when you criticize someone. I'm absolutely not criticizing Hai the person. I'm criticizing Hai the player, and I think that criticism is valid. As a professional, this guy is undoubtedly a very good human being, a model pro, an excellent captain, and someone that's going to transition well into another role within the organization. Now, I know Jack very well, and it's so rare to use this phrase in esports, but he is an honorable man. Okay, I want you to get your head around that in esports. A man of honor. This is a guy who stood by a team that, through thick and thin, they've had the same roster since, what was it, like May 2013, I think, when they assembled these 5 players. Which is, again, that's almost unprecedented in North America. They've stuck together, and even when the chips have been down, Jack's the guy who comes in and goes, well, fuck it, I don't care. We're a team, we're a family, we do this shit together. Now, I'm pretty sure that Hai's maybe said to him, look, we're not as good as we could be. I got some health problems I need to sort out. I've had a good run. I've loved every second of it. It's probably time for me to move upstairs. And I think what'll happen is they'll bring Incarnation in. He'll move into the mid lane. I think Lemonation or Meteos. We've seen Meteos shot call at one point as well in the team. I've just been told by a colleague of mine that Meteos took over calling and shot calling when they beat OMG. Yet to be verified, but I got no reason to doubt them. So I think one of those will take it, most likely Lemonation. And I think Hai will move to coach. And I think that's the best thing for all parties.
Hai as an assistant coach in the organization helping Incarnation transition is going to help, but it's only going to work if Incarnation respects what Hai has to say. And
I think Incarnation, he is that kind of character. I think a lot of people underestimate. This is a guy who actually
I think
is looking for a mentor in a lot of ways.
I think he's humbled a lot from the first time we met, and I think that he has a lot to gain from listening to Hai if this happens, and it can only be beneficial. Like it's not like he's gonna take mechanical practice from Hai, because that's not what Hai has to offer.
I'll tell you guys this, okay? Speaking as the man who did the first ever camera interview with him, like Incarnation had deliberately, stayed away from all of the limelight. He didn't want to say anything that would upset Riot, jeopardizing being unbanned. One of the reasons he agreed to do it with me was he trusted me not to ask him any difficult questions. I got a lot of criticism, actually, for basically not, really going at him and being aggressive. But I don't want to jeopardize a young guy's career just for the sake of a few extra hits on YouTube. Not what I'm going to do. So we did the interview, and I'll be honest, it was like pulling teeth. He's a very quiet guy. I had to work really hard to get stuff out of him. He's not used to that kind of media attention. And I think that part of it's going to be hard for him, because when he plays that first game for Cloud9, the hype is going to be ridiculous. I can't wait to see what Riot do about it. And are they going to create a video like they did with Ocelot, Taming the Beast Part 2. God. He used to be evil, but after the teachings of light, whatever, right? But they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to address the elephant in the room. But the hype for his first game, this is a guy that's being called, like, technically, just on solo queue alone, one of the best technical players. And he's been deprived in the world.
One of the best mechanical laning players in the world.
So this guy, he will struggle with that. And I think Hai the one thing he's done brilliantly throughout his career, he has coped with that spotlight. He has coped with that criticism. He's always there. He's always doing interviews. He's really personable. And I think that's going to be where Incarnation learns from Hai.
But in the end, you really do have to be happy for the guy, because no matter where he was going, like someone in the team was like throwing out Gambit Gaming, as the where Incarnation was going to go. But can you really name a better organization for Incarnation to start off his career than Cloud9? Like, that is the fucking consummate team. Like they have all the best players. They have all the best Hearthstone players. Smash Bros.
C9,
players.
C9 and
Well
TSM,
run.
it's like the creme de la creme of like NA esports organizations right there.
I think C9 has surpassed TSM. Like what Jack has done with that organization in the span of like a year and a half is really fucking incredible. And I mean, I've talked with a bunch of different people who I really respect, and they like it's just. I mean, it's really just crazy. Like how it's a match made in heaven, basically. You know.
Yeah, I agree.
Everyone's crying. Everyone's crying that Cloud9 needed a mid laner. Everyone was crying that Incarnation needed a team to go to. This is perfect. And he's
I agree with that, Bo. Like I'll tell you this. It's something that Jack honestly believes in as well. Like you know, in the way that Riot kind of do the whole "we want to reform you," but it's in kind of a creepy way, right? Like you will conform. What Cloud9 have done in CS:GO, for example, with a player like Shazam, and for anyone who follows CS:GO, this was a player that was considered to have a lot of baggage. Whenever there was like, you know, controversial stuff kicking off in North America, Shazam's name was never too far from it. But he was a really talented AWPer. Okay, and when they mixed up the roster and Shazam went to Cloud9, I was one of the people who was coming out and saying, well, this is dodgy. This could be real bad for the organization if he gets involved in anything like that again. So since moving there, he's been a fucking model pro. Like literally just perfect in everything he does. Great social media presence, really good in interviews, really personable. The team hasn't quite clicked yet. His level of performance hasn't got there. But Jack took a risk and he had absolute confidence in his man, and it's paid off. He's become a better person. And that's what I like about Jack. It's like he's got confidence in talent and just confidence in the Cloud9 structure that he'll give you a chance at redemption if you're good enough, you know? And I'm sure Cloud9 will get criticized for picking up Incarnation by some people, but I got total faith in Cloud9 that it is going to be a real good move for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on, man.
If it actually happens, it's all speculation right now.
Exactly.
April Fools, motherfuckers.
April Fools, guys. It definitely is an April Fools. It's happening. So look, let's move on a little bit and talk about the other story that's brewing at the moment. You guys are gonna love this one. Ram, come on, sit up. Give me some attention. Give me some love. Look
Holy
straight.
shit! Is it a fucking meme?
No, it's better
Oh
than
my
me.
God.
Okay, so word on the street from Richard Lewis's sources: Rekkles wants out of Elements. He's disappointed with the way things have been going. Has had preliminary kind of, is it possible to come back to Fnatic? Boom. Discuss.
Boom!
Let me guess, you already knew, right?
Yeah.
Rekkles, the word on the street is that, and like all these motherfuckers like go to the same TS and are all complaining to each other. Like all they do is talk about solo queue. Oh my god, I had an epic meme king on my fucking solo queue today. Oh, no. Like okay. Anyways, the word on the street is that Rekkles is not only unhappy with the level of play, he's unhappy with the personalities of the teammates themselves. And that's crazy because we forget. I mean, Rekkles has been around for so long that we forget he's not too far from the age of someone like a Gilius or someone like Fabiven. You know, like they're all kind of like the same generation. And so they're all like kind of, you know, a little bit more like emotional young pros, right? So what I've heard is that Rekkles is thinking about taking an entire split off and that he doesn't mind that. And honestly, I think that's good for him. Fucking Elements has been a complete fucking sham. Like right when they opened their Twitter and they said that shit like Wicked is a rock in the top lane who will like stomp over his foes. And
oh my god, don't! I can only handle so much cringe.
Rekkles is the wind of the like. I was like, this team is going down the shitter. Like, oh my goodness, that was terrible.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for Rekkles to go. Now, what 80 carries are willing to go to Elements? And I've heard a lot of different things, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Do you want to hear it? Do you want to hear the hilarious bit? They're opening up the doors for Tabs. They're opening up the doors. No. They I thought maybe Tabs was there.
No. Jeebus just looked at me, and Jeebus was just like. Anyways, yes. Go ahead.
I'm surprised. Jeebus has been duking with Crepo a lot.
Well, it's
Jeebus,
interesting.
if you leave, I'll kill you.
I mean, I have no doubt that Crepo will take to Twitter to deny this and say I'm lying, but I have heard that there's been, you know, Crepo's like, look, we can get Tabs back. I think it would be a good fit. Again, this is what sources are telling me. I don't know why Tabs would necessarily go back to Elements, but I guess it's very easy to put water under the bridge because the alternative is you don't fucking play for anybody. So being in Elements maybe isn't that bad. But yeah, I'm amazed that this is transpiring the way that it is. That it looks like Rekkles could go back to Fnatic, Tabs could go back to Elements, and we're back at where we started. And the only thing that's really been learned is a couple of life lessons for a bunch of young players. Is that what you've heard as well, Bo?
I mean, the speculation, like, I've heard a bunch of crazy shit, and like, fucking Sam, I've heard like a bunch of crazy shit. But like, you know, there was also the Daily Dot article, which was, you know, very well done, and it's, you know, that Forgiven was unhappy with his teammates on SK, and I've also
by Josh House
yeah.
Spiffing, who's in the chat.
Yeah.
Right?
Shout outs to my boy. Anyways, Spiffer reported that Forgiven was unhappy, and I think a lot of people who are involved in the EU scene will say that this has been going on for weeks and weeks, and so you do have to wonder whether Tabs will be open to a move to SK, and that's something that I've been hearing. And I mean, they're not the only team looking for an AD carry. Roccat is looking for an AD carry, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff.
What I heard.
Oh, okay.
What did you hear, Ram? What's going on Ram's TeamSpeak? What's happening?
I've heard that SK are opening the doors to not only a new AD carry, but they're also looking at options of a new support. They're basically keeping options open, and I know that they've contacted a few people, and I'm just waiting for Innerflame to go on his Twitter and be like, XD. But I know it's true that they've contacted a few supports. I know it's true that they've been talking to a few AD carries. I know that Roccat are also looking at potential replacements for their top and AD carry roles. And I know that they will actually not have those by the relegation tournament because they missed the deadline to acquire new players. So they actually have to play with their old players.
Really?
Yeah, they can't acquire new players for relegations.
Right.
They have to play with their old players.
The same players, right?
Or the subs on their team, which is Amin and one more guy. Amin and one more guy I think that's like an analyst or something. That like those are their subs. And those are the only people.
Pretty sick though.
Yeah, but they have Yankos, so where's Amin gonna play?
Oh, true, yeah.
Yeah, so they need to play with Overpow and Woolite the relegations, but it's kind of awkward since technically they were already like quote unquote like kicked in a way.
Amin is a pretty sick AD carry on the side when he wants to be.
If I were Woolite, I wouldn't even be mad, dude. It went back to the thing where like, you know, you were asking me whether I was mad that like LS basically got me fired and then they were able to grab him. Like, Woolite has been the cause of so many fucking losses for Roccat this season. Like, I feel like, I mean, whenever I tune into EULCS, I feel like I see Roccat, it's always a 55 fucking minute game, and then Woolite plays. I call Woolite the EU West Maple Street that doesn't want to be, because what Maple does is he gets on Graves, he ease into the enemy AP and AD, and just fucking gets as much burst off as he can in order to kill the enemy AD and just like let Cali Trolls do the rest of the team fighting.
Sam,
this guy.
Sorry, just one second, Bo. Sam, can we get that GIF that queued up that you sent me last night of Maple Street, please?
Oh my god.
Get it queued up, and maybe you could just play it on a loop while Bo's talking. That would be great if you could do that. So yeah, Sam's gonna do that. You carry on, Bo.
But fucking like Woolite, they make this dude play Kog'Maw all the time, and he's just like walking into random places, like face checking brushes, like people just put all this burst on it, and I'm like, what the hell?
They're like he's gonna learn how to position eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually.
And also, I mean, and then you have Overpow who plays 3 champs, and like that's not good enough for top lane, dude. Like top lane meta is changing all the time. You need to know how to you need to know how to play more than just fucking Maokai, dude. Like, come on. So, I say this is interesting because I think that we were in the last season, we were in a meta where the mid lane champion and the AD carry champion determined the style of the team composition. That has changed because you know, we have the mid lane all-stars and the AD carry. If you're going to pick a Kog'Maw, then you go late game. If you're going to pick an early game AD carry like Lucian Corki, then you try to go early game, like quote unquote. Now it kind of it has changed. It's gone to AD and top or mid and top, because mid lane you have all like the same assassins and shit like that. Oh my god. I love Maple. You're my favorite, dude. Anyway, anyways, so it's gone to mid and top or top and AD. So you really do have to have, players who have big champion pools and know how to play different styles at those positions. And if you don't have that, then you're just gonna fail, and that's what happened to Roccat.
Yeah, look, I don't know why. I mean, I guess while we're here, we may as well bring it up. You can probably kill that GIF now if you want, Sam. It's just very distracting and quite upsetting in a lot of ways. What is the secret to Rockat's demise this season? Because we had them on the show very often. We love all of the guys at Roccat. They're super professional. We love their manager Fly. We love everything about them. And we were like, these guys could be dark horses this season. But it turns out they're not really dark horses at all. They're more like donkeys. So what's happened?
From what I've seen, I haven't watched I haven't been actively, when I was in NA, I was thinking more about NALCS, and I occasionally watched EU games because early on in the season, I thought Europe was very behind in terms of rotational strategy and what I could actually learn about the game. What the fuck is Double Lift doing? Anyways, so from what I've seen, Roccat likes to default into a lot of late game compositions, partly because Overpower plays mechanicless tanks, so they like to default into these late game compositions. And the further and further you get into late game, then it's just like the worse and worse it gets. Like, look at how the Chinese play the game. They pick all these like early game champions or champions with a lot of burst. They fucking invade your jungle, then they dive a turret, go get dragon. That's how they basically win the game. Roccat doesn't seem to do that. So I think there are flaws in their pick and ban. Their overall strategy is bad. I mean, I know that there have been, Ducky, their analyst, is now out of Team Roccat. He was basically let go. And I know that some of the players had problems with him, even though no disrespect to Ducky. I've seen him work and I think he's pretty good. So it's just that like their overall playstyle of defaulting to late game champions or maybe playing like a more relaxed style as opposed to something hard-hitting, tower diving, really, really aggressive, I don't think fits the meta right now, frankly. You want to play the early game champions that can make picks, that can zone away from dragon, and that can dive turrets really easily. Yeah.
Ram,
why are you laughing?
What about you, Ram? Come on, stop giggling and contribute. What do you think's gone wrong for Roccat?
I'm having a giggle. Mate.
You having a giggle, are you, mate?
Having a giggle. Okay, so the thing that my problem with Roccat is that they try to get their AD carry to play champions that he simply just cannot play effectively at like the highest level. I don't think they respect their coach very much, whether or not that's his fault for not being a competent enough coach, or that's another person's fault. But I think that most of the issues are the interaction between two of the players on the team. And it's not necessarily the jungle mid synergy, it's actually the top mid. Because the way that Overpower works on that team, and I think that the movement from Overpower to top lane was, in hindsight, probably the stupidest thing Roccat could have done.
Really?
Like, I actually think it's a very stupid role. Especially because you can't have people like Overpower and people like Nukeduck on the same team if you want it to succeed. Let's go back about a year and think about Lemon Dog's Nukeduck and how he succeeded on that team. He succeeded on that team, and when they were at their highest peak was when Nukeduck was in full control. He controlled Dexter's positions. He controlled Zoro where he moved. Mithy was only starting to come onto the team, so Mithy didn't actually hold that much control over the team. And that's when Lemon Dogs were really winning. It wasn't until when they went to NIP and Nukeduck started losing control. He started losing that element of comfort and his ability to be a playmaker. And that's when we saw Nukeduck slowly decline. It wasn't very obvious because that was in the challenger scene. And we weren't really able to see that compared to the other mids at the time. That he was actually declining slightly. And we never even got to see it turn into fruition because of the ban. Where he was banned. Fast forward back onto Roccat, Nukeduck never really got his opportunity to really control his game, and that's kind of where he failed. And I was actually discussing this a lot with the Origin analyst Veteran, and it feels that Nukeduck and Overpower can't actually coexist on the same team successfully. Overpower wants to control the game. However, he's not a very competitive top laner. Whereas Nukeduck, He doesn't necessarily want to control the game. If you want Nukeduck to perform at his highest level, which is actually quite high, he needs to control the team. And there's no conflicting personalities between anyone else. Woolite is a passive personality. Vander is a supportive personality, and Yankos is a supportive personality. Those all fit incredibly well with the way Nukeduck wants to play. They need a supportive personality on the top lane, or a passive personality, someone that's going to be able to listen and follow Nukeduck's lead. That doesn't mean make him a shot caller, but allow him to control the pace of the game and the pace of his own lane. And that way he finds his comfort, he doesn't choke on lands where that's where the issue is, and he starts performing better.
It's Ram, it sounds to me like you're being a bit of a Nukeduck apologist here. Like why
Nukeduck really sucked this split, but I'm basing this lack of performance on him not feeling comfortable in his own role in the mid lane, and because of his inability to control the game. This isn't necessarily a big advantage. It's actually a huge weakness that if he has someone else trying to control the game, that he starts losing his flavor. It's a huge weakness of Nukeduck. But instead of making that weakness bigger, why not just eliminate the weakness?
The worst part about it is that Riot is eventually, inevitably going to change the mid lane meta game. That's like, you know, like the amount of champions that cycle through the mid lane is like really, really large. And correct Ram, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always known Nukeduck as...
You're wrong.
Like,
You're always wrong.
Okay, shut the fuck up. Anyways, I always knew Nukeduck as like an Assassin's player, you know, someone who so he likes champions with a lot of outplay potential. And so what's worrisome is that what happens when LeBlanc and Zed get nerfed, and then, you know, maybe Katarina is not as strong as anymore. Luden's Echo gets banned, so Ahri and Katarina fall out of the meta. So what happens when he has to play like Ziggs all game? Like, can he still control the pace of the game then? Like, is he going to be a passive player? So I am interested to see what happens.
I think Nukeduck actually can learn more champions.
Yeah, I have no idea. I really have no idea. So that's just how I viewed Nukeduck.
I mean, for me, I've been really surprised actually at how it's gone from this split. I don't know. I can't put my finger on why it is exactly, but it's definitely surprised me that he's underperformed. I felt he was going to be the missing piece in the jigsaw for Roccat. I thought he would be actually huge for them this season. I think a lot of people put him in their fucking LCS fantasy teams immediately, right at the start of the season.
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
I got forgiven. Suck it.
Well, I guess that's a good transition. I got forgiven. Suck it. Let's talk. We'll no doubt re-explore the problems of Roccat a little bit later on when we're doing the wrap up about you know, playoffs and relegations and stuff. But let's just quickly talk about Forgiven. As one of my colleagues at the Daily Dot reported, a new addition. Welcome aboard, Josh Raven, a very fine young journalist who I've worked with before at Esports Heaven. I took him on his first ever gaming event, which was to All Stars. It was the one event I think I'll ever get to go to for Riot. It was the All Stars event in Paris. And it was his first time away from home. I had to keep in touch with his dad and everything, let him know I wasn't molesting him and other stuff.
Jesus.
Yeah, but we that's it. People don't realize that when I take away staff, I'm the older guy. I have the duty of care. I've got to be the responsible adult. If you can get your head around that.
When Richard has to be responsible, then you know you're fucked.
I was about to say, like, Josh's father is not the wisest man I know. Like, holy shit, dude. Anyways, yeah, go on.
Look, I didn't work for the BBC in the 80s, so he's safe. But anyway, he did a great report, which was, you know, the Discord in SK Gaming. I know we all heard about the little spat between him and N-Rated, which was, you know, he said before they played H2K, I hope N-Rated retires soon. And then Casing heard that and mentioned it before their game. And there was a bit of a confrontation, shall we say, pre-match. About it. So we all know about that. That rumor circulated. Everybody knew about it. I didn't report it because I thought it was a little bit tabloidy, which I know everyone's going to think is hilarious. I didn't want to go down that route. But I think the problems have been ongoing and persistent. But here's the thing. Forgiven has proven right now
he's the best
AD carry in Europe.
Might be the... I actually made a mistake because when I said before we had that fantasy draft, the fucking coach off you trapped me into, god damn it, Richard. But when we said that, I said that whoever had Bjergsen would win. This Forgiven guy might be like the other. I have right now, like when I think about like the best players, I think about Lustboy, Bjergsen, Forgiven. Forgiven is so good, dude. Top 5 AD carry world. Like even the AD carries in China, I think are equal. There are a lot of AD carries that are really good, but I think Forgiven is as equal or better to a majority of them because I think Forgiven is just so good. Unfortunately, from what I've heard, he's so toxic. That's the fucking problem. Like this dude.
I heard that he was literally flaming one guy
in
during
game.
a scrim.
During
During a scrim.
All
He
chatting
messaged
this
guy.
motherfucker.
Not even all chat. He PM'd this guy. Yeah, by the way, make sure to camp the bot lane because your bot lane is shit and can't 2v2 us. Nice trying to teach your bot lane how to 2v2. It's not like you'll ever beat us anyway. He was fucking writing that. And here's the fucking kicker. He was in the same practice studio.
Oh my god.
Guy. It's the guy he sees on a daily basis.
Oh my goodness. Apparently the amount of flame, like literally like the flames of hell, dude. Like this guy is just spewing all this shit on a constant basis. And you really do have to think, like a lot of these guys, esports has grown more professional, right? We've learned to keep our emotions out of it. And if people are willing to, people fucking hate Kobe, but they're willing to go to LA to play with this guy because he's a champion and he knows how to win. Forgiven is a champion, or not yet, but he knows how to win and he understands the game on a high level. How toxic must you be for it to be that bad? For SK to be shopping Europe's
This
most
is a no
valuable
toxic
player.
zone. We don't say the T word, but
Okay.
I'm gonna have to fine you.
How?
I'm the anti Nick Allen. You are now
Oh.
fined. I know
Shit.
$10,000. Just don't say toxic.
How cancerous? No.
Yeah,
How
there we
bad-
go.
How bad do you have to be? Like, it's just really sad. It's more than anything. It's really sad because I think SK can be really good, and despite their performance at IEM, I think they are really good. There are flaws in the gameplay, but they can fix that. So it's just like really sad. I mean, apparently they're better now, but I don't. What do I know?
Look, here's the thing, though, right? Forgiven, right? Look, far be it from me to come out and defend the guy, but I'm going to come out and defend the guy. If I was as good as him and I was playing on it, and I had a very set mindset, a champion's mindset. Now, look, things have been great all season, but the cracks are starting to show. We're getting to the hard yards. This is going to be a real tough playoffs for them, which we'll come to in a little bit. But if you can identify weaknesses and you've got it in your head that you're the guy that's going to have to carry, and I don't think he's entirely wrong. There is a lot of responsibility on Forgiven in that particular team. It's very hard not to look at the flaws around you and think, well, I shouldn't have to, play in these conditions. I shouldn't have to have all of the good points I bring to the table negated by somebody that I'm meant to be teammates with, that I'm meant to have an understanding with. And I can understand that frustration, certainly. I'll use a real sports example. I've played in teams where my actual teammates who I train with week in and week out, we turn up from, an important game and things go wrong at the start and then they just lose fucking, they have no pride in themselves. Like when you play rugby and you're 40 down at half time, right? And you're getting stomped and you're going to lose the game. You've still got to rally and say, for the point of pride, I need you to fucking win the second half. Let's win the second half. Like, forget that. We're going to lose the game, but let's win the second half. And I think, you when you look around you and you see players that are hampering you, like, fuck it, man. Like, you got to... I'd be pissed off as well, I think, a little bit. And I'm not saying he's articulating it in the right way, but, yeah, he should... I know, I think a lot of people, because of this T word that follows him around, a lot of people are being really harsh on him when in actual fact, his mindset and the way he expresses himself is very typical of a lot of champions. I mean, what was it he said on Summoning Insight? You can either try to be the best or suck a dick. Yeah. That's his mindset, I'd love to play with a guy like that. That's the guy you want in the trenches with you, right?
And in Forgiven's defense, to add on to your point, like I hear a lot of things about maybe N-Rated's motivation. I heard that like before the season, like this dude wasn't playing solo queue, like he wasn't even concentrating on his laning. He's basically, you know, he wasn't really trying that hard, and he doesn't like exactly love or have passion for the game. He's playing because he's on the team because he's extremely smart and knows how to work the map. But then I feel like Forgiven is another one of those guys who actually might be mature in a way that if he thinks that you're not working as hard as him, then get the fuck out of the kitchen. Like if you're not cooking, get the fuck out of the kitchen, right? So
did somebody say food?
Not
so
the pantry, dude.
What do you make, Ram? I mean, you're a bit of a toxic fuck, so
Yeah, I'm actually really
oh,
toxic.
shit, now I gotta find myself 10k. Fuck.
Just to elaborate on what Hugo said, is like if someone's not working as hard as him, I think that he takes it as like a personal insult almost, you know? So like that's how he kind of views it. Is like if someone isn't trying as hard as him or putting in as much effort as him, then he takes that as a personal insult, and he has to like fucking like defend himself like that. Like, why would you do this? Do you hate me or something? Do you not want to win? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like that, maybe that kind of mentality where he really wants to be the best, and if other people aren't putting in that effort, then it's like kind of fucks with him.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it back in the Copenhagen Wolves days where his talent was absolutely clear. But so I guess this begs the question: where do SK, if it's all true, and I haven't been able to verify this one way or the other, I haven't even had the balls, if you like, to just, you know, I got Forgiven on Skype. I can message him anytime. I've just wanted to leave it alone. Like, I mean, like maybe there's not going to be a good
Makes
time.
sense. That makes sense.
You know, and be like, hey, bro, so I heard that SK Gaming's imploding right now. Care to comment? Like, I'm going to leave them alone. Let them focus on playoffs. That's the least I can do as a respectable person. But where are they going to go to if they do replace him? Because I think wherever you look, massive fucking come down.
Tabs.
Massive come down.
Yeah.
I think they actually might pick up a different support. I was hearing rumors about potentially Noxiac from Future Makers.
Here's the thing, and like I've talked with other people about this, one of them being veteran, but a lot of other analysts as well, and it gets kind of that thing where SK needs a very specific style of AD carry who knows what his job is. You don't see SK playing with Kog'Maw or like you don't, I mean, or Jinx to some extent, but you don't see them playing a lot of like hyper carries, but like the traditional Forgiven bans are Lucian, Caitlyn, and Graves, right? Like those games, like those champions that can take advantage of the laning phase and then use that advantage to basically create a spike in the mid game. Caitlyn not so much, but definitely Lucian and Graves are like the skirmish AD carries, right? So you need to find a guy who doesn't need that much help and who is smart enough to always be aware of what's going on around him and to say, okay, like if I go here, I go and at this time, then like their zones won't reach me. Someone like, you know, not someone like Uzi, God fucking forbid, like Tristana jumping into like 5 people, like shooting, fuck that shit. But someone like Name or someone like Wei Xiao. So it's hard because you need a very specific player. And to be honest, I haven't watched enough Tabs or fucking Candy Panda or Rekkles. I haven't watched enough of them to know whether there's another player like that in Europe or in or in the Western world. So it's tough. It's really, really tough. If I had to make a decision and like I saw that even though he brought like the knowledge to the team that he wasn't working hard, then I would say bench the support, because I mean, if you're not going to work hard, then Forgiven can't play with you, and Forgiven's the most valuable person on the team. I mean, that's basically what I would do. It is a tough situation, and I definitely do not envy. If all this information is true, I definitely do not envy the job that Joe, SK Interflame, has right now on his plate.
So look, a big shout out to Joe, by the way. It's interesting actually when Incarnation was coaching at SK, and he was getting loads of plaudits for being the secret to their success. Nobody's really been saying that about Joe, but he's a great guy. I've known him for a long time. He's from the UK. He's a super nice dude. We've drank together on numerous occasions, and definitely I'd like to go on the record and say he should definitely take some credit for this.
I would use the word coach very lightly because he's a managing coach. He's a manager. He's not necessarily got the game knowledge that other coaches have.
Yeah,
but
so if it works, it works.
If it works, yeah, they're #1 in the LCS. I mean, this dude earned his paycheck.
They're #1 in the LCS, playing the exact same strategy every single game
because
with little to no change, and that's not what a top team is made of. They're just so good at playing one linear style that no other team can actually deal with it, and then some teams are actually able to deal with it.
I think it'll change. You could say the exact same thing about Fnatic too, and eventually Europe is gonna crumble. But I'm kind of like sick and tired. Obviously they've said this, but I'm kind of like sick and tired of like people saying, oh, like the only expectation that we should have is to win worlds. If you don't win worlds, you're a failure. No, dude, like give this guy props. He's winning Europe right now. Like winning Europe is perfectly fine. Like that's very good for your career, you know? So I mean, props to Joe. Like even if like he's not the coach that they need to, basically, summon these players' creative juices and, create all these different types of strategies, like a protect the Cogmos strategy, a poke comp, a siege comp, a pick comp with Twitch. Like at least, I think he's managing the players, and so I think he does deserve a lot of credit. Like shout outs to Joe, dude.
Good on you, Bo.
No, I really like Joe. I think he's a great guy, but to necessarily call him a coach is like, he's not a coach. Like.
Semantics.
I think this is where you're wrong, Ram, because I think, coaching isn't just about necessarily in-game techniques. There's lots of aspects to coaching, Yeah, sure, that's a part of it, but, you've got different kinds of coaches that teach you different things. And, when I've worked in coaching, a lot of the stuff we've done is like how to exercise right. I know that's hilarious coming from a fat bald dude, but try and imagine, 15 years ago or something. But how to stretch properly, shit like this. That's coaching. It's not telling you how to chuck a rugby ball or kick a football, but it's coaching. It's helping you. It's helping you improve.
For some
ultimately.
Yeah, for some perspective, really quickly, I mean, look at the coaches in Korea. The head coaches are the ones who say, like, you eat like this, you shit like this, you talk like this, you sleep like this, and then there are other analysts that, work more closely with the players and who try to find out what the best strategies are in that certain meta. So I do think that it's I understand what you're saying, Ram, and I think the community really does understand where you're going with this. But I would hesitate to be disrespectful at all to Innerflame and say that he's not a coach. I think the dude's doing a really good job.
Yeah. So, okay, let's do the final wrap up, and then we'll all fuck off and go to our respective, whatever we've got planned for this evening. Sounds like you've got a house party going on, Bo. So, I want to talk about playoff games. They're coming up, they're looming, and I guess because, we could go into massive depth about this, we'll make it quick and we'll just go for some quick predictions. We'll start with NA, where we're 2 days away from the NA playoffs beginning. CLG versus Team Liquid, how do we see it going?
CLG.
Okay, very decisive and definitive.
This is Link split. No, I definitely see a really changed CLG, and Team Liquid are still undergoing issues even with the Piglet key thing. I think CLG do have a good shot to take it, but it is playoffs. It is CLG. You honestly never know.
Before the game, CLG's tiebreaker against C9, CLG had been on a 1 or 2 game loss streak or something like that. And I told Smitty, who was right next to me, I said, Smitty, if CLG loses tiebreaker, they are going to get swept in their playoff game. It's really hard to say right now, and as much as my heart wants me to say CLG, my brain is telling me that some of CLG, I think that CLG is going to get exposed in the playoffs, and that the staff. I mean, Team Liquid has a lot of staff members. There's a lot of staff members on that team, so I don't think that they'll rest until those problems are figured out. So I'm gonna say Team Liquid in an extended series.
That's very interesting. I gotta say, I think you make an interesting point there, Bo, but I'm kind of with Ram on this one. I don't really... Phoenix, for me, in the mid lane, he's caused me to raise eyebrows at times. I think he's had some very questionable positioning plays. I think he's had some very poor laning phases. I even go as far as say some of his builds, with my plat knowledge has left me perplexed. Like, I think if someone did some of the things he did, I'd be a little bit, what the fuck? But obviously he's a pro. I guess he knows best, right? But I think he's been under par. And I think, with the CLG going in with they're firing pretty much in every area on the team, I think. Whereas, whereas I think, and plus as well, the Piglet issue, he's coming back into his own at the moment. I don't know how I feel about I Will Dominate in the jungle, actually. I just feel that CLG is stronger in every area. And I didn't think I'd be saying that, because when they said they were bringing an ex-Smithy back to jungle for them, I thought that was a massive cop-out and a terrible pickup. But he's been really good.
If you got Ram, Sam, and Richard, if you will allow me to ramble on for just 5 more seconds about this. The one thing that I do want to say about this particular set is that CLG have problems engaging. I think Monte Cristo said it best. They usually rely on Afro move for engage, and they struggle to find other engage sources. Or Link's just gonna fucking Ian with Lissandra and just ult himself and fucking die for no reason. So there's that. The problem with Team Liquid, I think, is that they're late on rotations. It's like they know what to do, but then they arrive at the objective that they have to take or that they have to defend a minute too late, and then because teams like Team Impulse can react to that, it's going to be, you'll see a team like Team Liquid, whose communication is not great anyway, assuming, get punished for that. But because CLG cannot engage on Team Liquid or struggles to find, put engage tools on other players, I think Team Liquid's weaknesses, which are easier to fix than CLG's, by the way, will be, though they won't be exposed as heavily as a team like Team Impulse will do against them.
Okay, interesting. Let's move on to the other North American game then. Hang on, I did have it open in a window and I've closed it. Help me out, guys. Help me out. Come on.
Team Impulse versus C9? No, Team Impulse.
No. It's Impulse versus Gravity.
Okay.
How the fuck can you get that one wrong, Bo?
I fucked up.
You really deleted them. It was such a bad experience for you. So yeah, of course it's Team Impulse versus
out.
Gravity.
I crossed them out from the Bible. They're no longer alive to me. I don't know them anymore. Fuck that.
So yeah, brain fart for me. I'll keep drinking this cocktail. That'll help. But yeah, Team Impulse versus Gravity. Now, I did talk to Last Shadow a little bit. He says he's working his proverbial balls off to make Gravity, he wants to win a whole split now. He's we want to go all the fucking way. I want to be able to say that I was part of something, I contributed towards something really special and show people that the coaching isn't just bluster and bullshit, that it can have an impact. He's got absolute faith and confidence in the team. They're really working hard. They've got an insane scrim schedule by all accounts. And I got to say, perhaps that's tainted my view a little bit. But, I look at the rosters and I look at their performances over the course of the season. I know they've both been inconsistent at various points. I'm feeling Gravity for this one.
Right.
You guys can come in anytime. You don't have to leave me hanging.
It's Gravity versus
Team Impulse.
I think that Team Impulse have a very unique style of playing, but I've been thinking about the champions that they played, and Apollo has literally played only Graves in the past 3 weeks or more. I think that over a best of 5, Gravity might better be suited for a victory there, whereas Impulse are better in best of 1s. So I think Gravity is going to take that. Maybe they might drop a game, adapting to something that Team Impulse are pulling out, but I feel that along a best of 5, Gravity is going to adapt better than Impulse. So 3-1 to Gravity.
I really respect LS. I mean, fucking Richard makes me look. I bet you on Reddit tomorrow, and all the OKs
I won't be on Reddit
gone.
tomorrow, bro. I'll tell you that for nothing.
But when I look on Reddit, they're gonna say Souldra hates LS confirmed. He thinks he's a better coach. No, I mean I'm like I said, I don't think I get a beer with a dude, but I'm a fan of Coach Last Shadow. I watched his stream to learn some stuff, and I saw that he was in the Gravity House. He's in this Gravity House at this instant, probably working on some strategies to get Gravity the win. I'm a huge fan of what he can do. However, Impulse has looked so solid for the past. In general, they really understand the map. I think they really, really, really understand the map, and that a lot of their champions, like the skirmish champions, that explode in the early to mid game. So from maybe 15 minutes to 30 minutes, usually that's when games are that's when games are decided, right? They're in a really good place in the meta right now. So as much as I want to vote for Gravity, my boys on Gravity, I think that right now I have to go with Impulse because there is a level of consistency there that they're just they're really blowing me away. I mean, like I don't usually come to, go to NA and EU to look at learn how to learn to see how to learn the game. I usually watch TSM and CLG, I guess, for that. But Impulse is teaching me some new things. They just really, really understand the map. So I'm going with Impulse, and I think it'll be a 3-0.
Okay, well, that's a huge fucking claim. I want to just mention someone in the chat as well. A guy called Officer Dude said, motherfuckers out there forgot about Rush, which I think is a very good point, and that I should definitely repeat that. So let's move to EU, okay. The weakest region in the world.
Agree.
Agreed.
Behind Brazil, behind, I don't know.
I was watching League of Legends Japan League, and fucking they're better than some of the shit that EU does. God damn. By the way, shoutouts to hold on a serious note, I was watching LJL. There's a guy named Awaker. He's a jungler for Detonation Rabbit 5. Shoutouts to him because he's the best player in Japan in my opinion right now. So yeah.
So if we're gonna talk about EU,
how's his English, by the way, Bo?
Oh my god.
Who?
Is it good enough for the analyst desk?
No, no one's good enough for the analyst desk. If his English is good, we could get him on the show, man.
Who Awaker? He has no idea who I am, and I've never ever interacted with him.
I'll find him. I'm good at finding people. I'll dox him. It'll be okay.
I'll send you his address in the fucking Skype. I'll get you the information you need to flame. Anyways,
thank you. If you're gonna get him on
EU playoffs. So we got Copenhagen Wolves versus H2K. And
I mean that's okay. So let's do that first. That's H2K. Look, I love Copenhagen Wolves. I'm friends with the fucking guy who founded it. I'm friends with all of the teams. I love Young Buck. I think he's a great pro, a really super cool dude to have to interact with. Perhaps a side that people don't see. I know he gets criticized for his plays. And let's just actually give credit to Copenhagen Wolves. They're not in a fucking relegation, right? Yeah. So, I mean, to even get to the playoffs for them shows progress. And I think it's easy to forget that, isn't it? We're a very critical community. I'm a very critical guy. Very easy to forget when people have improved. So I just want to say, huge shout out to Copenhagen Wolves. You're not in the relegations. You are in the playoffs. That said, you're going to get fucked in the ass by H2K. Just, I don't, I love them. Prove me wrong, guys. Okay, prove me wrong. But H2K have been fucking so great this season. Yeah. What a fucking success story. And I'm really happy for them as well because they're a great organization with great management. I love their players. I'm just so happy for them because when they came into the league, they said, our only hope is that we stay up. And here they are in the playoffs as well. So
3rd place, too.
3rd place. That's big.
3rd seed. They got
considering where they started.
Seed.
Considering where they started, that is fucking huge. Shoutouts to my boy Carl Cray. You're the best.
I will refrain from making an opinion about this game because the last time we thought H2K were going to crush Copenhagen Wolves, they get 3-0'd. So it's obviously different teams, different support staff. I think that overall, both teams have a good chance of upsetting each other. And it's not necessarily going to be a match between the players because I think that in some cases, some players on H2K outmatch some players on NCW and vice versa.
Yeah.
I feel that throughout a best of 5, it's going to be between the coaches to see who's got the better strategy planned. Mm-hmm. And while that is true for all games, I feel that that's going to play way more into play in this particular best of 5. But what I'm really excited for is if H2K do win, that H2K Fnatic best of 5 after is gonna be fucking amazing.
Yeah, and if H2K get to the round with Fnatic, H2K will 3-0 Fnatic. Anyways, so
What?
Yeah, they will. H2K will 3-0 Fnatic. Fnatic's gonna get exposed in this tournament, like in the playoffs. I really do think that.
Wow, that's bold claims. But I'll tell you what a story that would be, because you know I remember when H2K played Fnatic for the very first time in the split, and everyone was like, oh, you know, it's kind of a grudge match now, because Fnatic obviously took Forbidden. They were looking at other players like Hyun and Ottawamne before they assembled their roster. You know, there was accusations of poaching. It was all a bit of a shitstorm, and everyone was like, it's a grudge match. But Fnatic beat them quite comfortably, and then you know it kind of went away. And everyone was like, wow, Fnatic are actually really good. We should give them some respect. Looks like Fnatic management have done their homework. Why are you so adamant if H2K do beat Copenhagen Wolves and play Fnatic, they're going to beat them so comfortably? That is insane.
What happens with Fnatic is that, and I think that they have, first of all, Fnatic is the team I admire the most in the EULCS, because they actually are almost the perfect example of the way I kind of want challenger teams to play. Very aggressive. You pick, like, even early on in the season, you pick champions like Rengar, and then Rengar Sivir, and then you can go into the enemy jungle at will, and then you pick a champion with large zones. In League of Legends, we talk about zone control, and there aren't a lot of champions with bigger zones than Forbidden Xerath, can ult like God knows how long. LeBlanc, Ari, Zed. I mean, this dude is really working right now, and they have this really good system where they're able to communicate like where the jungler is going. And so if the jungler, let's say, goes topside, then the bot lane plays a little bit more passive, and they're able to duel at will, and vice versa. So the reason why I think H2K will expose Fnatic is because, first, I trust Prawley to do his research, and I really think that he'll come up with a right pick and ban strategy to force Fnatic into an uncomfortable position. Second, I think that on a best of 5, this is a best of 5, right?
Yeah.
Second, on a best of 5 basis, and I feel like I'm fucking disrespecting Carl Cray. Carl, I think the series is going to go 3-2, and I think H2K will win. I love you, man, but I think that's just how it's going to go. Second of all, I think H2K has stronger laners, individual laners, than Fnatic. I do think. Wait, timeout. That's not true. Sorry. No. I fucking just really mindfucked there. I think top lane is stronger, and I think jungle is stronger right now in terms of on H2K. I've been really critical. I'm a little bit more critical of Huni and Reignover these days, and I think that Ottawamne and Lulux can match their movements really well in terms of that like Bash Bros style. And third, again, maybe I think bot lane is a weakness, but I think that this game will heavily revolve around the top 3 lanes, and they'll skirmish so much, and that H2K will come out on top. So I'm really, really confident that bot lane will just play a supportive style, and then they'll eventually group with Kasing in order to make pick after pick after pick. So yeah, I'm pretty. I think that H2K got this in the bag, dude.
That's bold claims. I'm not sure I agree with you, Bo, but you're a guest. It would be rude of me to say you're talking shit, and I'll leave Twitch chat to do that, right? So,
oh my God.
So on Sunday, the final playoff game we're going to take a look at, Gambit Gaming versus Unicorns of Love.
This is the game of cheese, basically.
Right. So here we go, Ram.
I'm not calling
before
this
you go into it. Just before you go into it, I think this game is super interesting on paper. I'll just to frame it for people. Obviously, you've got Gambit Gaming, you know, this reputation. And then when Unicorns of Love had that good run at IEM and everyone was like raving about them and saying, oh my God, they're the new Gambit Gaming. Mm-hmm. And I think both of these teams have kind of maybe underperformed a little bit based on expectations in the split. I mean, don't get me wrong. That applies to pretty much everyone in EU, actually, with one or two exceptions. So, Ram, you may rant away. Why is this the Battle of the Cheese?
This is the Battle of the Cheese because both the coaches are not afraid to pull out some really unexpected shit. It's Unicorns of Love and fucking Leviathan on Gambit, for fuck's sake. It's gonna be just whichever insane strategy works better, and it's impossible to call it. It's just who's gonna get the better scrims before. So I can't actually realistically call this game.
Bo, I believe you may have had some experience in the area of coaching. How do you see it?
Not as much, not nearly as much as Ram. I'll tell you that. But the
Ram just keeps milking it for as long as he can. Like,
oh my god.
What am I milking exactly?
no, it's okay. Just go to sleep for a moment. When there's when there's no coaching jobs left, he's going to reinvent himself as an analyst. When that doesn't work, he's going to invent his own organization. He'll become a manager and he'll find a way to survive.
The official caterer of every single League of Legends team in the world. I'm gonna tell you right now, my boy Ram Jamal. This dude is a smart man. Oh my!
We had a running joke about it, and I can't remember what was the organization name going to be. Wasn't it like
Brokenshard's Jew Crew?
No, it definitely had the word Jew in it. I can't remember. It was actually
Brokenshard's Jew Crew.
Oh, the Jew Crew. That was it. Yeah, Jew Crew. That was it. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah, he won't have any problems getting sponsors, will he?
No, absolutely not.
So just putting that out there.
Gambit game. Oh,
yeah. Go on. I want to do some analysis. Let's get past the awkward pause, please.
Okay. Gambit Gaming versus ULL is so weird. It's like, first of all, do we know whether NIQ or Betsy is like which one of the two is playing? Because Betsy's playing. Okay, so assuming Betsy is playing, I think it depends because Gambit Gaming is a weird team because I think Brokenshard is the best top laner in Europe right now in the LCS, and it's weird because they make him play so many different kinds of champions, and I'm always impressed. I was like, this dude is a fucking beast. He plays like Morgana top one time, and he plays a carry top laner, and the next time he plays everything so well. So that dude is a beast. At the same time, I really do Power of Evil and Kickus are going to be able to pull it out after a long set. I think Kickus, Odwamne, and Power of Evil are smart enough that they can capitalize on a lot of the mistakes, positional errors that players like Pinoy, my boy Chrislin, shout outs to you, I love you, dude, but like Pinoy, Edward, and players like Betsy make. There are like a lot of positional errors, and I think they're going to get caught out again and again and again. I'm really liking what Kickus is doing right now. The problem is like I just need just to interject there. It's like it feels like the team is actually matched up. Yeah,
two semi mediocre bot lanes, two strong commanding like aggressive mid laners, two unique and crafty junglers, and two incredibly aggressive top laners.
Yeah, it's like really, really weird. This is like
they just match up.
I mean, this is really good. This and Team Impulse versus Gravity is going to be really good. I really hope that Hillsong and fucking what's the other guy? Vardags. I hope they just don't throw this game away. I've heard really good things about them, like their character. Of course, whenever like an esports personality, if I'm even that, has to talk shit about a player, they always got to compliment his character first. So I'm sure
you have to. You have to. You're absolutely right there. If you have the balls to just analyze it like dry, not only will the fans attack you, the player will privately message you like, "What's up with that, man?" Every time I've ever said anything about a player, like even something innocuous or obviously true, like I don't know, maybe player X isn't all that good because he's statistically the weakest support in his region. You get the message on Twitter. Sup with that, man.
So Hillsong, if he gets his Thresh, outstanding player. But like these two guys, their laning is worse than Pinoy and Edward. So hopefully these guys can get 2v1 matchups, right? So they can just fucking like Vardags, play over here for a second. We'll take care of the rest. You just freeze the wave, like top wave. Don't let Brokenshard get farmed. Dude, you're probably not watching this show. You're probably like, who's this random Asian fuck like just talking to you right now? Please, you can't flash into 5 people, motherfucker. You will save your team if you just stay away. Like, just stay away. Like, farm sideways. Like, don't fucking E in and flash into these guys to get damage off. Only Maple Street is the only AD carry that can do this. Maple Street is the only AD carry that can do this successfully.
It's all that crazy golf, dude.
Don't try to go in, man. Come on, just play safe. let your team clean up, and then you just have to get a few Qs off and R, and then your grades will be just fine. So please just play safe. And I see you all taking this in an extended series.
So right, let's get final predictions in then, because I don't think Ram made one.
I actually am gonna have to side with Hubo on this. It's like it can be a close match if people make mistakes. It's gonna be down to who makes the least mistakes, but I think that UOL can take it in a long series.
I went with Gambit. Was my prediction. I think it's.
Well,
gonna
you're
be real
fucking
close.
wrong.
Yeah, I thought so. But no, my
I actually think. Can you hear me? I think I broke that. No, it's okay.
yeah,
good.
dank memes. But yeah, I think Gambit. I think they're just gonna edge it. They're just gonna shade it. I can't side against my boy Pinoy, so it's completely biased and not rational.
Pinoy is a boss. It's gonna be interesting because I think that it's like Gambit and Unicorns of Love both do have coaches from North America. You know, they have Leviathan on one side and Prawley on the other side. I think in terms in like the coaching community, I really do think that players generally and analysts generally have a little bit more respect for Prawley. I hear he's doing like a very good job controlling that, managing that H2K team. But I am eager to see what kind of strategies that Gambit pulls off, and I do want kind of Leviathan to like redeem himself, because I hear so many bad, like weird, not even bad, I just hear weird fucking shit about Leviathan all the time, and I do really hope he can like show up and say, like, give us like a really good series. But I'm so excited for this one, and I think it'll be long. I don't think.
It's going to be long, and it's going to be peppered with mistakes, and it's going to be one of those games that's going to be won by throws, not won by.
Oh shit! Probably's not the coach on UOL. I'm such an idiot.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Kick him off the fucking show. Kick him off the fucking show. It's done. We're done here.
Yeah,
the show's over. The show's over. You fucking fucked it up.
Souldra. I thought I misheard him. I thought I misheard him.
I'm so dumb.
Do you want to know what? This is my fault. I thought we were getting Chobra. I
actually thought we were getting Chobra.
I fucked this right up. Like I thought.
Can someone just fucking kick him from the call?
No joke. The first when I was in the house, all these fuckers called me Chobra for like the first 2 days, and it was so annoying. But I think the funny thing is, besides the NA part, everything I said about Prawley can be kind of substituted for Sheepy. I do hear really good things about Sheepy. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I was mostly focusing on the Leviathan side. Like, dude, like I hear weird things about you, man. You got to pull out a win, and you got to pull out a win. You got to really.
I've heard some shit as well, but again, me, far be it from me to repeat rumors. It's not my job. Oh, well, look, it was great to get all of your thoughts on that. I'm really actually looking forward to the playoffs, especially in EU, because we needed to synthesize some form of excitement. Like SK, Fnatic, and H2K were just so far ahead of everyone else in the league. This split, like, honestly, it's really embarrassing what EU has become. It's just awful. I've enjoyed NA so much more, but I'm actually hyped for the playoff games. Don't get me wrong. Last time I said I was hyped for a tournament, it was awful. And we came on to First Blood, and we were like, man, the NA Challenge is so cool. We thought it was going to be good.
Oh, that was a sad loss, though.
Well, yeah.
Loss was terrible. Jesus.
Mate, just watching a Zingy on Pantheon just fucking killed me. Like, I've never recovered from that. A part of me died that day, watching him, like, just miles away from people. And then the Riot casters going, Zingy's been clever here. He's trying to flank. No, he's not. He's just shit. Can we just say that, please? So... yeah, that kind of sucked. And by all accounts, he's a nice guy. But yeah, that tournament just fucking ruined my life, basically. I've never been the same man since. I aged visibly after watching it. So I don't know. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it'll be good. But I hope so. Anyway, we just need to wrap up here. So here's a few things that we want to talk about. So first of all, the first thing I want to say is, what is up with Blakinola, boys? Like, is he okay? Like, seriously, this fucking shill motherfucker went in on me deep, right? So this is the guy who went in on me and talked about, like, I don't know what formal training he's had, okay? But he went in on me on Twitter after I did the What the Fast story, okay? Now, keep in mind that I talked to Voidboy about that, and I was like, I'm real sorry, dude, because I love Voidboy a bit. I support his stream. I'm always in there. Great guy. We talked about it privately. I'm like, I'm real fucking sorry you had to be in the center of a shitstorm. It's not about you. It's about something else. Ethics in journalism, right? But he was totally okay with it. Like, yeah, it kind of sucks. And I said, in a couple of days when I release my other articles, no one will even be thinking about you. You're a cool dude. I hope this doesn't affect anything with us. Like, I still love you. I still want to have your babies, whatever. And Blakinola, salty as fuck. Sponsored by What the Fast. Meh, sad day for journalism. Tabloid journalism. What the fuck does this guy know about journalism? As I said on Twitter at the time, right? He's the equivalent of that homeless motherfucker that got a job with the radio. Serious. That's all.
The Cleveland guy.
Yeah, that's all he is. You've got one thing going for you. You've got a fucking voice, dude. Like, I don't know how long you studied at university, okay, to be able to read things off a sheet of paper, but I had it covered by the point. Like, you read patch notes. Fucking get over yourself. Holy fucking shit, who is this guy? You're gonna lecture me? Fuck this guy. This fucking shill.
Burns so fucking hot, I can't breathe.
Oh my god.
This guy lives.
That was a
Like,
swim.
how long do you have to study to be able to go, oh baby? Give me 2 weeks. I'll take all of this guy's work.
Oh my god. In Blakinola's defense, I would like to say that I do really enjoy the content he produces, and I watch some of his other videos too. And he's not like the Cleveland guy, because that guy eventually fell back into alcoholism. But all that aside, yeah, I mean, did he have beef with you before? Is my real question. Like from a long time ago.
That's the hilarious thing. This guy shilled so publicly, and I'm gonna fucking really go in a second if you think that's bad. This guy shilled so publicly, so it's like, yeah, you partner up with Riot Games, all right? You partner up with What the Fast, and I just happened to write about Riot Games and What the Fast, and you have a problem with me. This guy tweeted like, oh, it's really well written shit, and then he went in on me again and again and again and again. It's like, man, just fucking please don't make it so transparent. So this is the guy, to put this in perspective. This guy got approached by another fucking YouTuber who I won't mention. And he charged him $15 to do a 10-word intro for a video. Like, are you fucking serious? Unbelievable, this guy. All about that. Yeah.
My god.
Fuck this guy, seriously, fuck him. Coming after me. I don't charge anyone for my work, mate. Like, I read through dozens and dozens of articles a week from aspiring journalists. I actually give back to the community. I help people get jobs. I don't charge them for that privilege. So fuck you. So I just wanted to address that anyway, because I thought it was worth mentioning. I can't wait for the fallout from this show. The other thing is, while I was getting absolutely shit on, which of course happens regularly for reasons that I'm not too sure about, there was one subreddit that stood by me. It wasn't League of Legends, it wasn't StarCraft, it wasn't CSGO. Of all subreddits, it was Dota Master Race. They stuck up for me, even though I've said Dota is one of the worst online communities in the world. And they stood up for me. So I want to show you. They had the best April Fool of all, or rather Riot Games did. I'll get Sam to bring up the screenshot. It's on now, is it? Okay. So you will notice right at the bottom, Riot have done the ultimate April Fools. It's been a persistent April Fool. It's been in the making for so long. This is a advert of what League of Legends was going to have back from 2009 when it was first announced. You will notice a key word here. Can you spot it? Can anyone spot it? Can anyone spot the joke? Replays.
Replays and spectator, of course.
They win. You've got us, Riot. You played the long con, the ultimate April Fools. We're still waiting. Brilliant. But seriously, Dota Master Race, I love you, motherfuckers. Thank you.
Oh my god, it's the replays.
Oh, there we go.
Oh my god. Excuse me while I fall off my chair. Fuck.
So yeah, I know that outro was hotter than fucking Nintendo.
That was hotter than my mixtape, dude. Oh.
But anyway, let's so all that remains to be said is SoulDraa. Bo, you are a fucking legend. I've been wanting to get you on the show for ages. I think everybody can see why. I mean, don't get me wrong, Chobra would have been better, but you know, we need to work up to that. But seriously, you were real good. I think what I respect most of all is you were fucking honest, you were real, and you said real shit. So thanks a lot for doing that. I hope we get to do it again sometime. And my outrageous personality hasn't put you off.
I do want to say that first of all, like Brokenshard, you're my boy. I've known you for a long time. Sam, thanks for hosting 2 shows.
I'm kidding. I love you.
Shut up. Anyways,
I mean, I think everybody knows that you're only a coach because of everything I taught you while we were working together on G2.
Basically, you taught me where the pantry was. So right when I got into the G2 house, I was like,
you knew where the shit was.
Go right,
you knew
take
where
a
the
left,
good
take another
shit was,
left.
right?
I was like,
yeah, that fucking pantry is stuck.
Anyways, but then I mean, it like being on this show was weird for me because as I said before, like Richard Lewis is like. Oh, like Richard Lewis is like this fucking. I hate him, and then I love him, and then I hate this motherfucker, and I love him, and it's just like. But you always have to like respect somebody like you, and most of all, the fucking shit you just lay onto Blakinola. I've never been a part of something more unreal in my life. Like
it's so fucking hot.
Oh my god!
I apologize for involving you. I know that wasn't planned. I'm sure it doesn't reflect your views.
That will go in. That might actually be the best esports diss of 2015. I'm gonna say it right now. Lock it in.
Thanks.
That is the best esports fucking flame of 2015.
I am available for comedy roasts along with Martha Stewart. Ram, it's great to get you back on the show. We've had you off for a while you fine-tuned your memeing, so we could get you back on. We have to say, obviously, rest in peace to Nintendo, wherever he may be. Please,
it's not First Blood unless I rage quit. So fuck you all.
There we go. And it didn't even take Sky Williams this time. So all that remains to be said is thanks to all of you guys, the fans, for tuning in. Thank you for supporting me through my difficult time. It's super appreciated. Thanks to Bo, thanks to Ram, thanks to Sam, the man behind the scenes, the producer. And just one final shout out I got to give. There is a great Twitter account. You all need to go and follow this guy right now. It is at Kesper for LYFE. So Kesper for life with a Y. He's known as Superior Kesper Fan. It's hilarious. Seriously. If you thought Reddit LOL Pro was good, this guy's arguably better. Maybe even the same dude. Who knows? Follow him. He's fucking awesome. Thanks to you all. We'll see you next week for another episode of First Blood. Peace out.